It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. A great show planned for you. We've got Will Oremus here from Slate, from Engadget, Roberto Baldwin, Peter Cohen, Flarg is here from Backblaze.com. We'll talk about all the latest news. Of course, a little bit of Apple, DOJ stuff, some revelations. We'll talk about hacking, an amazing experiment from Fusion.net, and how the Facebook timeline works and whether they're going to pay attention to the new little sad faces and the confused face and all of that. Stay tuned. Twit is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. Hi, everybody. It's time for our annual audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It helps us understand our audience better, know what you like and don't like, how you listen to the show. It also helps us tell advertisers what kind of people listen. But I promise you, your feedback is always kept personally anonymous. All you have to do is visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It'll just take a few minutes, and it'll help us make Twit even better. We really appreciate your support and any help you can give us. twit.tv/survey. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 551, recorded Sunday, February 28th, 2016. The floor is lava. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it, right from your desk. For our special offer, go to Stamps.com now. Click on the microphone and enter Twit. And by Braintree. Looking to set up payments for your business? Braintree gives your app or website a payment solution that accepts just about every payment method with one simple integration. Plus, Braintree will give you the first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. To learn more, visit BraintreePayments.com/twit. And by Squarespace. Squarespace is the simplest way to create a landing page or a beautiful website for your portfolio, blog, business, or online store. Enter the offer code TWIT and get 10% off Squarespace. You should. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your house. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/twit. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the latest tech news. This is going to be fun because I have three guys I truly respect in the business, but only one of them's ever been on Twit before, and he's only been here a couple of times. I'm talking about Peter Cohen. Great to have you back. Peter, a longtime Macintosh reporter, gaming reporter. He was at iMore. You're now at Backblaze.
Yes. Thank you very much.
What are you doing at Backblaze? Is this a Scoble-style job?
Well, Backblaze is a backup service provider. You can back up your computer to the cloud, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to backing up computers. So that's what I'm going to be writing about for the blog, blog, and for the guides that you're going to see on their website.
Still play a game or two now and then?
Yeah, absolutely. I play games whenever I can squeeze it in.
Yeah. As you get older, that gets harder and harder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Your copious free time dwindles, and then you want to do other things like sleep.
I haven't been able to squeeze it in years. That sounds dirty. Also joining, I don't know where that came from. Also joining us from Engadget, he's a senior editor there, Roberto Baldwin. It's great to have you, Roberto.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for bringing the Chevy Bolt by. That was really fun.
Yeah, except it turned into a Volt while I was sitting in the parking lot.
I feel so bad. I was all excited. I thought you were bringing a Bolt, which is the new one they announced at CES.
Yes.
And I start the interview and I say, "Let's take a look at the new Chevy Bolt." Poor Roberto has to say, "It's actually the Volt."
Yeah, the Bolt won't be out till like December-ish.
Yeah. I should have known it wouldn't be. It's not going to be out.
I'm not that cool.
I got to thank you though. You started this. You didn't finish it. But before you moved to Engadget, the last time we talked, you were at Popular Science.
Wired.
And also from Slate. I believe he's still at Slate. Wired. Right, Wired.
Wired.
He's still at Slate. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Will Oremus. I got it right.
Actually, Salon. I'm just kidding.
It's a Chevy Volt.
Honestly.
You guys, all three of you. Well, I bet you, maybe Peter, you managed to dodge having to write about the Apple story.
Oh, yes, I did.
With a nick in the nick of time, but I know both Will and Roberto have been spending a lot of ink. You guys use ink still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just pour it right into the USB port.
To writing about the Apple story. And I know we have spent a lot of video and audio tape on the subject as well. Talked about it for an hour last week on all of our shows. But this is one of those stories that evolves. I have a feeling this is going to be like Microsoft versus the DOJ. This may go on for years.
Yeah. We're
Certainly
never.
seems that way.
Yeah. So the story so far, you already know the story so far. I have to say, and we've on Friday we got Apple's response to the Department of Justice, which Nilay Patel at The Verge, who's an attorney who knows wherever he speaks, says is a very unlawyerly document. He was kind of surprised by it. It says this is almost as much a PR document as it is a pleading. This is, for instance, normally you would start with your strongest argument. That's the one that the judge is probably going to read before she falls asleep. In this case, they started with the easiest to understand argument and moved to the more complicated arguments. And he, I think, kind of implied that this may have been more of a PR.
The Apple was very forthcoming during a conference call that this document was written so that the average person could read it.
Not the judge.
They're like, this is written for like, your average Joe.
They're going to the court of public opinion.
Yeah, which, the FBI, the
FBI did the same thing.
Two motions. They didn't need to do two motions. One motion would have been appropriate, but they decided to do two. So now it's just been a war of a PR war between.
I mean, the FBI actually went to, and it's sad, to the victims of the shooter and got them to, plead for help from Apple. And, I think people who watch this show are technically savvy, and so they know that it is not really about this particular phone.
No.
And yet, I think we have to point out the things that I feel like I have learned in this process don't reflect all that well on Apple either. I feel like both sides are now playing a PR game. For instance, it's become apparent, I should have known this before, and it was obvious before, but now it is absolutely apparent that Apple has always had access to the contents of your iCloud backup and would willingly give this to any law enforcement law enforcement agency that had a court order. In fact, they even told the FBI, well, just wait till it backs up. Bring it to a captive Wi-Fi and it'll back up.
They've been like, well, if we have the data, they're saying, well, if we have the data, we will give it to you. If we have it.
Will, was that a revelation, or is that just me being slow to pick up on things?
Well, sorry, can you back up just a second?
Yeah. Apple's iCloud backup is not encrypted. Or it is, but Apple has the key. So they have now, the only reason this phone is different, and the FBI knew that too, obviously, because they made sure that the case was about a phone that hadn't backed up in 6 weeks. And, and by the way, they changed the password. Just in case, they changed the password so it couldn't back up. They say, no, we weren't doing that. We just didn't want it. I don't know why they changed the password, but they changed the password. Maybe they were trying to read the backup. But Apple said, hey, just come to us. We'll give you that stuff. So that's one. Apple, Tim Cook in his interview with ABC kind of implied, well, if we write this, it's like creating a cancer. But it's pretty clear that, in fact, the way Apple signs firmware updates, this would be specific to this phone and no other. That particular piece of software that Apple doesn't want to write wouldn't be usable on other phones. The real point here is that it would be a precedent, right?
Yes. It's a precedent. It's not like that. If that software gets out, it's still going to be tough for someone to sign it and put it on another phone. I mean, it doesn't mean it's impossible because...
Well, Apple has the keys, and I'm sure Apple does everything it can to protect those keys.
Yeah. But the once the precedent is sent, then, the New York DA is saying, we have over 150, 175. Right. They got a bunch of phones in New York, and they're just ready to, as soon as this precedent is sent, to say, Apple, we need you to, bypass the encryption that's on these phones as well.
Well, a lot of people say Facebook, Microsoft, and Google are supporting Apple in this. You say that Google wants you to think that, but they're not.
Well, that's changed a little bit. So their initial response, which was glossed as support for Apple, really wasn't. I mean, it was as tepid as you could get.
Sundar Pichai's tweets.
Yeah, it was tweeted from his personal account, and he phrased everything in a very general way so that it sounded like he was really supporting Apple, but in fact he wasn't saying anything. He was saying, if this is a backdoor, then that's wrong, and we don't support that, and we don't support the idea of forcing companies to hack their customers' iPhones. But that's that he didn't say whether he thinks that was actually the case here or not, and that's what really the whole question turns on. I mean, is this a backdoor? Does it amount to a backdoor, or does it not amount to a backdoor? That's the very dispute that's in question. So it was interesting. It was interesting to see because the tech companies that are Apple's rivals were under immediate pressure.
Right.
Twitter, people on Twitter made sure that they were under immediate pressure to respond to this and to weigh in. And it was interesting to watch. You could almost hear the backroom meetings with lawyers going on at each of those companies' headquarters, where they're saying, well, what can we say? What can't we say? And there was no response at all for the first 24 hours or so. And then, Sundar Pichai had his tweets, which were, again, not really saying anything. It was designed to sound like it was saying something without saying something. But Google has since backed Apple in a much more substantive way. And other tech companies are now coming around as well, some more than others. I thought it was interesting. The one other tech CEO, one other high-profile tech CEO that really weighed in strongly right away and said, Apple is right, I stand with Apple. It was actually the CEO of WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook. Huh. Maybe because his company's owned by Facebook, he doesn't have to back up what he says because he doesn't have the authority to decide what WhatsApp does. Probably has to go through his boss, Mark Zuckerberg.
But he must fear what Apple fears, which is that he would certainly be approached, and they do use encryption, but they would be approached immediately to hand over whatever they could hand over.
Well, yeah, and WhatsApp has built its business to a large extent on privacy, and Apple, that's appropriate because that's what Apple is trying to do now as well. My immediate response when this case went public was, this doesn't surprise me because Apple has been spoiling for this fight. Ever since the Snowden revelations, and there was the backlash against the tech companies for sort of standing by and letting everybody's data be hoovered up. Apple. Tim Cook and Apple executives got together, I'm sure, and they said, look, we should be the company that's out front on this. We, look at our rivals, look at Google, look at Facebook, look at the other big tech companies out there. Their businesses are built on harvesting their users' personal data. Our business isn't built on that. We sell phones. Our customers are our customers. They're not our product. And that gives Apple the ability to try to take the high ground and be the company that will fight for your privacy, the company that cares about your, protecting your data rather than packaging your data for targeted advertisements. And I think it has really become genuinely a part of Apple's strategy ever since then. And I think that they were looking for a fight like this just as much as the DOJ was.
At the same time, again, Apple would like everybody to think this is all private, but in fact, they have your backup. And if you do back up to iCloud, they will give it to the law enforcement. So I think that's as much marketing hype as it is anything else. What's interesting is there have been stories that Apple is now working on an uncrackable phone, one that they can't, by the way, and I know it's not a backdoor. It's not about undoing the encryption. What it is about helping the FBI unlock the front door, the very weak 4-digit passcode on this iPhone 5C. But Apple even calls it a backdoor. This is in their response to the court. They say this is not a case about one isolated phone. This is about the Department of Justice and the FBI seeking through the courts a dangerous power that Congress and the American people withheld, the ability to force companies like Apple to undermine the basic security and privacy interests of hundreds of millions of individuals around the globe. That I might agree with, but then it says the government demands that Apple create a backdoor to defeat encryption on the iPhone. Again, this is not written very precisely because it isn't a backdoor, but this is really for public opinion, right?
Like the CTO RSA calls it a backdoor.
Well, there's a difference. A backdoor implies the golden key, right?
Yeah.
That we would give you a key that would allow you to unencrypt other iPhones. That's the implication Apple wants to give you, and it isn't that at all. They'd modify the firmware so that the FBI could brute force this phone And that's a very specific situation that wouldn't work, in fact, on the not very well anyway, on the 6-digit code that they now use, and will not work. In fact, as an exercise, and you mocked me, Roberto, but as an exercise, I took my iPhone.
Well, you couldn't unlock your phone.
And
earlier.
I thought, well, what if I wanted to lock this down? If I'm a bad guy and I wanted to lock this down, well, first thing you do is turn off iCloud backups. You're not going to do that. The second thing you would do is turn off the 4 or 6-digit PIN and turn on a long password, which I did. So I have a, 16-character mixed numbers case, alphanumeric plus punctuation password. That's a real pain, by the way, to type in. And I turned off fingerprint unlocking because we don't really know how secure the fingerprint is. So now this phone is encrypted. You would need to brute force a much longer, virtually uncrackable password, unless you have some magic. But then I realized, here's the interesting irony, and this was brought up on Ars Technica by Leif Reig. Most software already has a golden key. Even when I've done all that to my iPhone, Apple could push an update to this phone that would unlock it. Because all they have to do is wait till I unlock the phone, the data is now unencrypted and available, and upload it to the server without telling me, and they've got it.
That's basically what the FBI wants Apple to do.
Sort of like what Apple. But the point is,
that's just for one phone.
That's true for everything. That's true for a Google phone. That's true for Windows. That's true for Macintosh. If there is a system update that's true for Debian. That's true for things we think of as secure. If there's a system update mechanism, every system has a golden key backdoor.
Especially if you put auto update on.
Right.
There was an auto update to Adobe Creative Cloud that recently happened about a week ago. That
I think you know about that one, Peter, don't you?
Yeah, I got a front row seat on that one thanks to my new gig at Backblaze. It started arbitrarily deleting the first hidden directory on Mac hard drives, which in the case of Backblaze users happened to be a directory, a user-writable directory that was there because of the app. So it started causing problems for our customers, but also for a lot of other people who had their information put in these kinds of accounts. And it's something that I got bitten by because I'm a Creative Cloud user and I had still, like an idiot, left on auto update. So I got the auto update pushed out, and blam! All of a sudden, stuff stops working right. Something else happened with the Mac last week. The Ethernet ports on some Macs stopped working, and it turned out to be some kind of weird software push that Apple fixed itself. But people had to delete plist files in order to resurrect the Ethernet ports on their devices. Very strange stuff. But this is what happens with software updates.
Right. If Creative Cloud is well behaved and you don't have auto update turned on, well, you're safe. But I think that it's probably the case, isn't it, that Creative Cloud or Microsoft or anybody could ignore your auto update settings. I know Apple silently updates Macintoshes all the time with malware signatures.
Yeah, Gatekeeper. They've had Gatekeeper built into the operating system.
You don't know it's doing that. It's set. You don't have a choice. It doesn't say, "Would you like me to do this now?" It just does it.
Don't worry your pretty little head, Leo.
It just works.
Just trust everyone. I don't know why you're so just untrustful. Why don't you just trust everybody?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that the part of the whole Apple FBI thing that I guess I find so very interesting is that Apple has really positioned privacy as this major important cornerstone of how it likes to do business with its customers and how it differentiates itself from its competition. Here's the inherent problem that I've got, and I have this perspective from having sold these devices to people for the past 2 years. While I was working at iMore, I was also working at an Apple retailer. And what I found is that people think it's BS. You know, muggles don't believe that Apple is any better at privacy.
But you know what?
Else.
They're right.
I don't know. I wouldn't use an Android phone.
Well, Leo,
my Android phone is safer than your iPhone.
I don't
Oh,
know.
you are so full of crap.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. First of all, there's no mass backup of the Android phone. You can turn off.
I haven't have mass backup of my stuff.
Well, you turn off iCloud, but most people it's on and they leave it on. So I'm not, and you just could turn off backups to Google. You can use a strong password. Not all Android phones, but all Google Android phones and many others are encrypted by default. Strong encryption with a strong password. The backdoor exists for this as it does everything, including all of Apple's products that you could update behind the scenes and, leak information out.
I'm going to go back to something that.
But I don't think this is any less. This is as bad. I guess my point is, and I'll let you finish.
Sure.
My point is, this is theater on Apple's part. They aren't protecting our privacy any better than anybody else is. Everybody is vulnerable to exactly the same thing. They're all beholden to law enforcement court orders. And they have always been doing this. In fact, Apple's first request to the FBI is, can we keep this on the lowdown? Let's seal this. It was the FBI who said, no, let's make this public. Apple wanted to say, you know what, if you had the iCloud backup, we could get that open for you. They didn't want to have this public conversation. I think it's theater on all parts. I don't think Apple's any better than anybody else. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
No, I was going to say frequent guest of the show, Renee Ritchie, likes to talk about how there's this constant tug of war between security and convenience, in everything that we do. And, Touch ID is great.
Right.
But Touch ID, essentially is just an overlay for the passcode system that you've, already got on your phone.
And most people are not going to do what I did. In fact, as soon as this show's over, I'm turning it off because it's a big PITA.
Right.
Because you want convenience. So but I guess the point is, there's 2 points. You can if you're a bad guy, you can do things because you're willing to be inconvenienced because you want to hide your stuff that the normal person isn't going to do. But my larger point is, even if you do that, if you're using a smartphone, you can be compromised at will anytime.
Well, and we've seen so many celebrity hacks. We've seen so many, the other incidences where people's devices have been compromised. I, don't dispute what you're saying, Leo, but I think that it's interesting to see Apple craft the conversation or try to direct the narrative in the way that they're trying to direct it, because it is very telling, that they're trying to position themselves as the absolute arbiters of personal privacy when it comes to consumer products. And quite frankly,
marketing. It's great advertising.
It's great marketing, and it's a message that they're way out in front of compared to any of their competition.
But who is more evil? The company that pretends to be protecting your privacy when they're not, or the company that says, oh, you don't have any privacy?
Wait, on what grounds are you saying that it's all pretense? I mean, certainly there are theatrics here. Certainly there's grandstanding, and this fits in with Apple's, marketing push. But on what grounds are you saying that somebody can hack your smartphone at will at any point? I mean, if that were the case, why would we be having this fight?
Well, first of all, as I said, we already know that if your phone is backed up to the iCloud, which is almost everybody, and Apple really strongly encourages you to do that.
I don't know if that's true because 5 gigabytes is nothing. 5 gigabytes of backup of your iPhone unless you have like that tiny little 8 gigabyte or 16 gigabyte, 5 gigabytes doesn't do anything. Okay. So you have to pay extra to have the
most
room.
People don't use iCloud backup?
I don't think, unless because they're like, well, why would I have to pay for this?
The bad guy did, obviously.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, that was his work phone.
Right.
So if it's his private phone probably had all the information. The work phone, that's the thing. We don't know anything we don't know if there's anything on this phone.
Okay, that's a good point. But is anybody disputing my thesis that Apple does have access to they have the keys?
Oh yeah, they've said that they have the keys. They said if we have the data, we will hand it over to the
and we will give it to law
authorities.
enforcement.
But if we don't have it and it's your personal stuff,
right,
and you don't want it backed up for whatever reason, we're not going to give that to you because of privacy, so on and so forth. And whether or not this is theater, and it's theater on both ends.
I think Apple very legitimately doesn't want this precedent because they just don't want the trouble of being asked to do this. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cyrus Vance Jr., New York State AG, has 70 phones. He's ready and willing to go, oh, good. So I don't blame Apple from a pure business point of view, but I think it's market speak to say, oh, we're the privacy company.
No, but I think there's a key point you're missing here, which is that Apple intentionally put this stuff out of its own reach with the security updates in iOS 8. Apple could have kept the system as it was, and it would be able to comply with these types of requests at any point. Apple just made a conscious decision after the Snowden affair in 2013 that it was going to put your data, if you had a passcode on your phone and you had the data encrypted, it was going to build iOS 8 in the way that even Apple could not get into it, so that when the FBI came calling or when the local police department came calling, Apple would have to throw up its hands and say, we can't get in here. And that was on purpose on their part.
But
That's
how's
not
that
an
working?
accident. We'll find out eventually.
It's not working.
Well, we'll find out. Yeah.
Because they did a couple things. They had put a very weak front door on it, which is the passcode. You know, I understand they did it because customers want it to be convenient. It's exactly what you're talking about, Peter. The trade-off between convenience and security. So Apple, you know, in order to be secure on an iPhone, you have to do a lot of things that nobody's going to do because they're a pain in the ass, because I tried them and they are a pain in the ass. But at the same time, I furthermore believe that one has to really understand that any company, and maybe that's why Apple wanted to have this conversation, any company can push an update that would then just make everything moot, that it'd be over. I mean, and I'm not talking about update that the FBI can try as many passcodes as they want. A simple update that says, look, while the data is decrypted, just send it up to the cloud. Done.
Well, that's what they don't want to do. Because that means that they're,
and that's probably what the FBI wants.
Defeating the decryption. So, and then it's not just Apple that's going to, if Apple loses, it's not just, it's everybody.
No, I agree
Certainly
with you.
Every device that you own,
I
encryption's worthless. The only people encryption's going to work for are the bad guys.
But I guess my point is it's dopey to think that you have privacy on this. And the conversation should be this week in law. We have a show This Week in Law. Denise Howell said what the conversation needs to be, the public conversation needs to be with Congress, and is, do you want this to be private or not? Do the concerns of law enforcement and national security override our desire for privacy, given that this is a treasure trove of your personal information, including GPS locations, microphone, camera. This phone in your pocket is the best spy device ever. That's why law enforcement is drooling over it. But the question is, can Apple make it secure? And do we have the national will, and will Congress make a law to make it secure? I suspect what FBI thinks is either we're going to go all the way to the Supreme Court and we're going to win this one. That would be okay. But better yet, we'd lose it. Then we can go to Congress and say we need CALEA 2. We need a law that says that they have to cooperate, that they have to help, that there is no privacy on a smartphone.
Yeah, I think you've nailed what the big idea is here, which is the question of, should a company have the right to create a device that can't be opened, that can't be unlocked, that can't be tapped for spying purposes? You know, in the past, phone systems, obviously, the government won that battle. They require the phone carriers to allow them to place a wiretap. There was the pen register.
That's CALEA, the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement. That passed in 1994, long before 9/11.
And now we have so much more information on our personal devices. And it's not just our smartphone, as a number of people have pointed out recently. It's also, the growing number of devices that we have in our home, whether it's the Nest thermostat or a security camera, or you have the Amazon Echo and it's listening to everything you say all the time. More and more of our personal data and more sensitive stuff is on these devices. And that's sort of a two-edged sword. I mean, on the one hand, that is why law enforcement is terrified of the idea that companies can create unlockable devices, because all of a sudden the power that the government has always had to tap into your phone or to bust down your door if necessary, if they have a warrant, that becomes moot in the face of all the digital devices where we now live so much of our lives on these devices and online. On the other hand, we now have so much data on there that if the government could just tap into it at any time, that would be more horrifying in a lot of ways than just being able to wiretap your phone or to show up at the door with a warrant in hand.
That's what Congress is going to need to decide. I think in the long run, that's what law enforcement wants, is a second CALEA. CALEA only is for telecommunications carriers, right? Because
the Department of Justice tried to get CALEA 2,
right?
And Congress is like, and the White House is like, no, I don't think so. And that would allow, that would have forced companies to create backdoors. Right. And so now we're going to have to go through all that again because of...
I suspect so, yeah.
CALEA 3, I guess. The Reckoning. Electric Boogaloo. I don't know. Whatever 3 is.
CALEA 3 Electric Boogaloo is...
There could be only one.
There could be
All right. That's enough. We've talked enough about it. I wanted to bring it up. It's a big story. It's going to continue to be a big story because we won't. Interestingly, Apple's moved its event to the day before the court decides. I don't know if there's what's the theater there. They're going to announce new phones, new tablets, and then the next day you're screwed.
They're going to launch the spaceship campus into orbit and put themselves beyond the jurisdiction of the feds.
We're above the law.
Yeah,
we're a moon law now.
Well, maybe they don't want to be seen.
We are the law.
They don't want to be seen. Whatever they announce, they don't want that to be viewed as a reaction to
right.
But
they moved it up. It was maybe they didn't. I mean, it's all rumor mill stuff. But we were thinking the Ides of March 15th. They moved it to the 21st, and coincidence maybe the 22nd is the day that the court
could also be. The first 30 minutes of the event is talking about.
I suspect
security.
It's more like that. Like tomorrow, you're gonna. We'll see.
By the way,
and they may even say, "Hey, if we could just have 5 more days, we'd have time to write iOS 9.4 that encrypts everything."
Or maybe they already have it. Maybe they need that extra. Yeah, they're like,
maybe.
Like put this on your phone because now when someone puts in the wrong passcode 3 times, it just bursts into flames.
That's the phone I want. I think the takeaway is you shouldn't assume that you have any privacy on your phone at this point. That Congress is going to need to do something if we're going to get that, and that you should write your Congress critter.
Burner phones. We've all seen The Wire. You know what to do.
This thing bad, and this was to Tim Cook's point at ABC with the ABC interview. Is the bad guys know how to do this? This is normal people.
Well, the CIA probably knows how to do it too. They've been working on breaking into the iPhone.
Well, that's the other thing. I suspect the NSA. We know the NSA has 0 days on the iPhone. I suspect the NSA could help the FBI.
But did they want the precedent? Because then you don't have to work anymore to do the 0 days. They want the precedent set. If like, you know what? Instead of doing all this work to create these O days or get O days from, these bad actors, how about we just, I don't know, compel them, just make them do it.
They could raise
make them do all the work, and then we can go back to spying on you.
I think
as opposed to like getting these 5 guys to work on it.
Giving the FBI wedgies and sticking them in lockers.
Yeah,
It's like, we've been doing this stuff for years. You guys
are so cute.
Come on.
You're so cute.
Get it together, guys.
We've invented this hand that goes through the passcodes very, very rapidly. Would you like it?
They probably just have a dock now. They're just like, we just put it on the dock and then everything gets sucked out.
Of course they do.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. Well, that actually is what it used to be. Remember, this was a big problem before Apple and others started, and Android started encrypting the phones. Law enforcement had a device. They would just plug your phone in. They'd copy everything off, and that'd be it. And they could do it at a traffic stop. That's what Apple was responding to exactly. I'm sorry, Peter. We keep cutting you off.
No.
You're too nice.
But I'm just babbling anyway. I don't know.
It is depressing.
It is depressing. Getting back to the subject at hand, though, when it comes to the iPhone and security, the other thing that you're leaving out, Leo, that I think that's worth talking about is that ultimately the data that's on our phones or the data that's on our computers is our responsibility to take care of, right? So employ as much security as you need to, given your circumstances. Whether that means 2-factor authentication, whether that means file encryption, whether that means, tokenizing everything that you're using, whether that means putting yourself in a big panic room like Jodie Foster. I don't know. I don't care. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Bottom line is, though, your data is your problem.
Right.
So whether it's in the cloud or on your phone or on your device, keep track of it. Understand how it's being used and do what you have to make sure that it's secure as possible under the circumstances.
Peter Cohen, now at Backblaze. Great to have him. Flarg on the Twitter, Flargh. Roberto Baldwin is also here. He is a senior editor at Engadget. He has the odd Twitter handle. All of you guys have weird, except Will and me, Strangways.
Strange ways with no vowels.
With no vowels. STRNGWYS. And Will Oremus from Slate.
A man in his hanger.
Like me, a man in his hanger. Is that some sort of...
You can see that clothes hanger?
Is that a political statement you're making there with that hanger, that lone hanger, and the empty bookshelf?
At least it's not a wire coat hanger.
No more wire hangers. I thought I talked to you, Will.
I'm actually in an interrogation room right now. I'm gonna be.
The secret Slate interrogation room. We'll have more in just a moment. Actually, I want to talk about Kevin Roose at Fusion did a really interesting video piece for their I don't know if I call it a TV show, their video show, Real Future, Hack Attack. It kind of ties into this. He asked 2 hackers, white hat, to pwn him, and they did. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Mobile World Congress is over. We'll talk about that. But first, a word about mail. And I'm talking about U.S. mail. If you are in the business of, selling stuff online, you mail that stuff out. If you send brochures, if you use the Postal Service, you really have a choice. You can do it, and I get a lot of packages from eBay. Somebody's licked stamps, and they've wrapped it in brown paper with twine, and they've handwritten the address. Doesn't give the most professional look to it. And frankly, it's harder for you, believe it or not, to do it that way when you could do it with Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com right now. They can take it over. You won't have to ever go to the post office again. Everything you do at the post office, you can do at your desk, including buying and printing U.S. postage from your computer and your printer. You don't need a postage meter. That's Grandpa's way of doing it. They'll print beautiful labels for your packages. They'll print right on the envelopes if you want with your logo. They automatically get the return address from your website if it's Etsy or Amazon or eBay or wherever you sell online. They even give you discounts you can't get at the post office, which is awesome, including discounted postage insurance with a click of a mouse, package insurance. Plus, all the forms are automatically filled out, certified mail return receipt, even international customs forms. So no more handwriting, no more laborious data entry. It's all handled by Stamps.com. And then when it's all ready to go, you press a button, the postage carrier, the mail carrier comes and gets it. And you're done. You'll look more professional. You'll save money. Your life will be 100 times better if you go to Stamps.com right now. Here's how you get started. Click the microphone at the top of the home page at Stamps.com. See that? And then it says a special offer for radio and podcast listeners. But your promo code here is TWIT, T-W-I-T. And actually, this is a really good offer. It's a $110 bonus value. Includes $55 in free postage. You can use that over the first few months of your account. You get a digital scale, USB scale. You do have to pay. There's currently with the digital scale. In fact, this is the kit you get. You do pay $5 shipping and handling. But they give you a $5 activity kit and a month free of Stamps.com. And you get to keep the postage meter, USB postage meter. It's awesome. Not meter, scale. But it tells you exact. Oh, by the way, they'll even suggest, this could go media mail. You could save a lot of money. Stuff like that. Stamps.com. Click the microphone. Use a promo code TWIT. $110 bonus offer awaits. That's Stamps.com. Did you guys see this Kevin Roose piece? I didn't see the TV show. I read the article.
I didn't see the TV show.
He says, I dared 2 expert hackers to destroy my life. You won't believe what happens next. Actually, he doesn't say that, but he should have. He really missed an opportunity.
Really blew it.
It's pretty bad. So he went to 2 different security pen testing companies. So these are white hat, but apparently very accomplished hackers who do this for companies. They test their security. And one of the companies specializes in social engineering. A hacker named Chris Hadnagi. So, and this is something really companies need to be trained in because they don't hack your computer. They hack customer service reps. And the problem with customer service reps is the first 2 words, customer service. If they think you're a customer, they're going to try to give you service. So all you have to do is give them a sob story. So here's what happened. His company, called Social Engineer. By the way, Kevin said the rules are you have 2 weeks to hack me as hard as you can, using any tool you want, but you may not steal money, you may not steal data, and you may not cause any permanent damage or fallout. You can't tweet in my name or whatever. Before he began, Kevin says, Chris emailed me, may God have mercy on you. Okay, I'm scared already, right? So first thing they did is he doxed Kevin. Now, Kevin's a public guy, so he got his email address, his employer, social media accounts. That was easy. And they did things that are interesting. For instance, he got his home address by finding a picture that Kevin had tweeted of his dog. They zoomed in on the collar of the dog, and that was his home address. God, when I think about the stuff I've tweeted, once he had personal information, they tried to find somebody he was a customer of. So they called Time Warner and Comcast, pretending to be his girlfriend, to see if he had an account. He didn't. They called his local utility company to see if he had an account. He didn't. Well, it's not under his name. They found, this is interesting, they were able to find his social security number on a special purpose search engine. They had a 13-page dossier on the guy, and they finally figured out, here's what we're going to do. They had one of their social engineers, a woman, and you can see this on the video, call his cell phone company and say, I need access to his account. And to make it more convincing, they played a YouTube video of a crying baby in the background. She said, I'm his wife. He's not married. He's left the country on business, and I just need to get an account because there's information I need to apply for a loan. We really need to do it right now. Of course, the customer service rep said, yeah, of course. Well, let me give you, you poor woman, let me give you access to his account. So now they have access to his cell phone account. They change his password. And, of course, it goes on from there because they were good actors. There was no hack, really. It was social engineering. Next guy is even worse. Dan Tentler. He's with Phobos Group. So Tentler sends him a spear phishing attack, an email. He figured out he was on Squarespace. He had a Squarespace website. He sent an email that looked like it came from Squarespace to Kevin saying, hey, Kevin, in light of recent security issues surrounding SSL, we're taking the initiative to make our services more secure. We've made a number of changes that will require changes to your local SSL certificates. Just go to squarespace.com/certificates and you can take advantage of our strongest security offering ever. Now, even though Kevin knew he was being hacked, that he was the target, he was so convincing he believed it. And of course, it wasn't Squarespace. It was one letter away from Squarespace. He clicked the link, didn't notice the change in the URL. He didn't download a certificate. He, in fact, installed a Trojan, and he was owned. Dan had a shell into his computer. He could execute commands. He got into everything. He got his OS. He put an OS 10 pop-up asking for his administrator password. Kevin dutifully typed it. He installed a keystroke logger and used that to get his credentials for 1Password, which meant he had every password. Mm-hmm. Now it's over. He had his drop cam credentials, so he used the camera in his house to spy on him. He installed a remote access Trojan, or a rat, that snapped photos every 2 minutes from his laptop's camera and took a picture of his screen. And of course, the hack culminates, and it's the lead of the story, with a robotic voice, Kevin sitting at his computer, kind of sleepy, the robotic voice saying, Kevin, you look bored, coming out of his computer. He was owned. And I guess the point of this article is this is a smart guy who's using reasonable protections. If you're a target, you're basically, there's nothing you can do. And
if you're a target by anyone with any sort of even low-level resources, you're in trouble.
Yeah, because not just you. If they can call your phone company.
It's when Matt Honan was hacked at Wired, we had to do.
It was Apple and Amazon.
Yeah, so the staff on the Gadget Lab there, we had to recreate the hack. So we kept hacking our own accounts, and we made sure that we got information that was publicly available on the internet. And I was able to change my Apple ID, my Amazon password, my Amazon credit card number. There's a couple companies you just call up and I just need to do that. Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds great. And you're like, I can't remember my password, but I know the last 4 digits of my credit card number. And they're like, oh, that's good enough.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hack that they did against Matt was very interesting because they changed the credit card on Amazon, and then from that they got some information which they then used with Apple to get some information from Apple. And both companies have supposedly remediated. Yeah. But the problem really is that the customer service rep is a weak link.
Oh yeah, there's at DEF CON. You can go and sit and watch
the wall of sheep.
The wall of sheep. But there's a room where you can go and watch the social engineering, and you can watch social engineer. They'll go up and they'll stick them in a booth, and they just call trying to get higher and higher up in a company, trying to okay, your job is to get a hold of the VP of this company.
People are trusting. They're nice. Yes. They don't expect somebody to be evil. So. Interesting quote, though. He talks to a guy named Morgan Marcus Boire, who is a security guy at First Look Media. Marcus Boire said, look, do you worry about trained martial artists beating you up on the street? Well, not really, said Kevin. But you're aware they exist. You're also aware that you probably couldn't do anything about it if one of them wanted to beat you up in the street, right? He says it's the same thing. the danger isn't the trained martial artist attacking you, because that's your target. At that point, you're screwed anyway. It's doing dumb things like leaving your car unlocked so that somebody can just walk in. So some basic stuff, obviously, VPN on an open Wi-Fi network, two-factor authentication. Don't click on suspicious links. Be a little more suspicious about phishing emails. Change your passwords regularly. But really, the upshot of this article is you're screwed. You're effed. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend Donald Trump. I'll just say you're effed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a target, all bets are off. Especially as you're a higher. Journalists are a higher target than average people. People who are CEOs, VPs, they're a higher target. Government officials are a much higher target, and so you have to start living.
People who write about security for online sites are very much.
Oh my God! I have to change my Google account. Someone tries to hack into my Google account at least once a month.
Oh yeah.
Because I write about security.
Don't we all get emails all the time saying, "Hey, you wanted to change your password, right?"
I'm like, oh.
And you just hope that nobody has the access to your Google account, because if they did, or whatever your email account is.
Yeah, I'm changing passwords constantly on my accounts. I have two-factor, I have VPNs, but that's because that's my job.
Right.
Like the average person, my wife doesn't need to do all that. Maybe she should because
she's the avenue.
Yeah, but maybe she should, and it's your parents are also a great avenue because your parents are way more trusting than He's like, oh yeah, Robbie lives here, and this is like, we're doomed. But the average person, you're less likely to have this level of hacking coming after you.
And yet, here we are I just put an Amazon Echo in my office. I have 3 at home.
I love the Amazon Echo.
I do, but you wrote this great article which is saying if Apple loses, you're screwed because the Internet of Things. And in fact, didn't we already hear that from the Director of National Intelligence? Well, we're just going to use all the IoT stuff, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, everything is, and that's the thing is that the Apple thing is a court, it's a precedent. It's to allow the government to make these companies give them the keys, as opposed to right now where they probably already have the keys. They're buying or 0 days. They're employing people who will get into this stuff illegally. But yeah, everything your car. Cars have cameras, they have sensors, they have microphones. All that could be used by the government is really what we're going, but it could also be used by somebody who's trying to get to you.
I blew it. I said Cyrus Vance Jr. had 70 iPhones. He wants unlocked. He has 175 iPhones.
Yeah, he's got a lot. He's ready.
Jeez Louise.
He's got all these phones.
District Attorney.
He's got it in a box. Opens it up.
I went to school with him. He used to be a nice guy. No, that. By the way, that's the other great point, which is this is law enforcement trying to protect us. We asked them to protect us.
Yeah, that's the sort of the issue with the argument is that on one hand, I want my civil rights, I want my my privacy as much as I don't put out there on the internet. I want my security, but on the other hand, terrorism, murder. Yeah. Kidnapping. Yeah. The problem with the precedent is that once it becomes something they can use on terrorism, then it becomes something to be used on murder and rape, and then suddenly it's a felony, and maybe it's a misdemeanor, and now, maybe he stole something from the 7-Eleven. Let's check his house.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Then the slippery slope. I guess this is the slope.
Yeah.
And I think we would all have a little more trust of the government and its motivations if it hadn't been, I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but if it hadn't been for what we learned from Snowden, if we knew that it was really true that the government was going to get access to the data on one device at a time and just get the access to that device, then, okay, we're okay with search warrants. We're okay with the idea that, if you're a target, then your data is not going to be secure, whether it's a criminal hacker, or whether it's the government or spies or whoever. I think what spooks me, at least, is that we now know that the government was actually involved in programs where they were just sucking up everybody's data en masse, and then you can write software programs to comb through it. You can find people who haven't been accused of anything, who are mentioning the wrong word in their private email. that's what gets me is the idea that it's not going to be a case by case basis, that if the government has a way to get into your devices, that there will be, Palantir maybe will help them out. There will be ways to analyze all the data from everybody and run algorithms and target people based on that, even if you're not the subject of a terror investigation.
Yeah.
I want to find something more cheerful.
That's a good idea.
Here's a good thing. Banks are not going to use Facebook to decide on your credit after all.
Of all the evil banks do, that's one less thing. They're like, you know what? We're just going to...
So lenders were actually thinking of, you have a FICO score, which is based on a lot of information. That's how they judge whether you're worthy of lending money to. They were going to start looking at social media, but they decided it's creepy. What? When did that ever stop them? Maybe regulatory hurdles as well. Did that cheer you up?
Yeah. Anything that might... I mean, my Facebook, all my social media is horrible. So if you're following me, I apologize.
I know.
Because it's mostly just baby goats and...
Really? You're into goats? Like that little
cats,
goat?
And like pictures of my cat and cats and just random things that pop out of my head.
What's the Facebook goat that's like big on Facebook?
I think all the goats were big on Facebook.
Never mind.
I love them all equally. All the goats of Facebook. You are all my...
Are you talking about Buttermilk Sky?
Buttermilk Sky. Do you know Buttermilk Sky?
Wait, put on...
Oh, you better follow her.
Hold on. We're doing something important.
We'll be right with you, Will and Peter. We're just checking out...
Googling Buttermilk Sky.
Sky goat. Now, apparently, there's many restaurants named
It's a pygmy goat.
He's a beautiful pygmy goat.
She's a beautiful big goat.
She's a Nigerian dwarf goat, and she's just...
Oh, yeah.
And she does backflips.
She does it. Yeah.
Yay!
The best.
Now I feel better.
Look at that, everybody.
A goat
go parkour.
that jumps on other goats.
We might lose our privacy and our civil liberty, but look at this goat. Look, watch this. Watch this. Wait. When she did like almost the little like back.
Oh, she's going to the bathroom.
Oh, that's what you could cut. Oh, no.
And all the other goats are just like, hey, what's going on? And,
Buttermilk Sky. She, I followed her on Facebook, and she like sent me a message and everything.
Oh,
yeah, really nice goat.
Here we go.
I'm sorry, Will's going. I thought this was a serious show. I just feel we need. Go ahead.
I mean, goats are very important. I mean, and also it's not just goats, but ungulates of all kinds. Remember was it the llamas that were getting chased that we all had the ability to watch in real time thanks to the glories of technology?
And we should mention this is the 1-year anniversary of the blue and black dress.
Oh, that dress!
Do we have to mention
I remember
that?
people being so upset about that dress.
Were you?
Like people? Well, not me. I'm like, oh, well, it's the trick of your eyes, how you see. But people are like, no, they're tricking us. Like they thought that BuzzFeed they were doing an A/B test basically. Like no,
It was February 26th.
I'm being
2015.
gaslit.
I mean, yeah, it's a trick.
I missed this, by the way, when it happened, and somebody told me about it a few days later. But I missed the whole thing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we all know it's purple and orange.
What?
It's been a year since Left Shark. Think about that.
Left Shark.
Left Shark.
What was?
Last year was awesome. This year's kind of lame.
Oh, it's a bad year already. It's starting out bad. Mobile World Congress. Did anybody go? We sent a priest. Actually,
Aww.
I thought that was a good
Spain?
idea. To Spain.
That's no one expects
Father Robert. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Father Robert Balliser did our coverage. We had live coverage there from. But I'm excited because my Galaxy S7 comes tomorrow.
Cool.
Ordered that immediately. The LG G5 looks very good. But the most interesting device of Mobile World Congress was the HP Elite phone. A Windows 10 smartphone. But you're not picking up on this one. You're not getting excited about that. A revolution in mobility. The Elite X3. A transformation is coming. The world of computing is about to be reinvented. You didn't get excited? It's HP. This is a 6-inch Windows 10 phone that has a dock and a kind of a laptop-like device that allows you to use it as a desktop computer.
It's got Chrome.
I like that they've got that
Manual of
Windows,
audio.
Somebody
they've
spent
got that Windows 10 soundtrack going on.
Somebody spent a
Anytime
lot-
you're doing a Windows 10 device, you got to have those
Gotta
like,
have that.
thumping electronic music.
somebody spent a lot of money on a product that it's never going to go anywhere.
Well, but all right, let me attempt to make the case in defense. Not of this device, but in
I
general.
hope it's on that chart behind you. The chart behind, not the other side. Other side. There you go, the map.
You don't want to know what's on the chart behind me.
Oh, shit.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to hack your phone. The thing about Windows 10 is that it's this. I mean, all right, we're going to make fun of Windows phones because there are no apps for them. Nobody has one. I mean, Microsoft missed out on the whole game, and they're probably not going to catch up. But there's a real idea behind Windows 10 devices, which is that the future is different devices, same operating system, same experience. All of our devices, whether you call it a phone or a tablet or a phablet or a laptop, they're all just basically different size screens with different size, different input devices and slightly different UIs for the same information. And to me, Microsoft was the first company to really see that and go all in on the idea that there should be one operating system for all these devices, and that it's stupid to have a different OS depending on what device you happen to be using.
No, I totally see that.
They addressed that in the video.
Want apps?
Here's the video. Look, watch. It says want apps.
Look at that right there.
Nah, well, we don't have any. Oh, wait a minute. HP Workspace. It's basically
Where's Instagram?
it's Citrix for your smartphone, so you can.
It has
access.
Skype. That's not.
It has
That's
Skype.
That's
That's
a
an app.
surprise.
It has Skype. It's seamless.
It's interesting to compare what Microsoft is doing with Windows and the devices that run Windows compared to where Apple is when it comes to the development of its workflow, because Apple is taking a very workflow-centric perspective on this, and Johnny Ive has talked about this a number of times, where his goal, their goal at Apple is to make the user interface invisible, just to make the work the key thing. But they understand intrinsically that when you're using an iPad or when you're using an iPhone or when you're using a Mac, you're using a different device, and you've got a fundamentally different user experience for each device because of the way that data is input, because of the way that you interact with it, because of the screen, because of the weight, because of the operating system that's running on it, because of the applications, whatever. None of that stuff is important. What's important is getting the work done that you want to get done and then getting out of your way as quickly as possible.
Well, and that's, I think, what scared Microsoft is that all these people were bringing iPhones into the enterprise. And that was a wedge that worried Microsoft. I think that this is kind of an attempt to beat BYOD, right?
So what makes it so interesting is, its whole strategy, the narrative that we hear it sort of promoting with Windows Mobile is, it doesn't matter what device is in your hand, the work is going to be the same.
Yeah, but all the best apps they're writing are for the iPhone.
It's interesting, isn't it? But now we're seeing Microsoft take a much more service-centric view towards the way it does business as well. I mean, Office 365 is a pretty good corporate citizen on the Mac side of things. Sure, we don't get access, which is
that's fine. I can live.
Anyway.
I can live without access.
Yeah,
I frankly could live without Outlook. All I really need is Word and Excel.
We don't get waterboarded either. So
yeah, right, exactly.
For small miracles. Anyway, but otherwise, if you're invested in Office 365, you can use it on up to 5 computers. Macs, PCs, doesn't matter. Your mobile devices, and you've got end-to-end workflow. As long as you're bought into the way that Microsoft wants you to work.
Yeah. Microsoft did just buy Xamarin, which is Miguel de Icaza's, was an open source product, putting .NET on Linux, and then it became .NET everywhere, and now it's really a tool that allows you to write once and put your apps, your .NET apps on iPhone, on Android. I presume Windows Phone has to be in the mix as well. But that's a huge deal. Xamarin is beloved by developers, I think. So they're making an attempt, I think.
Yeah. But here's the deal with the phone is it's awesome. You're like, oh, man, this phone is also my computer.
Yeah, see, that's the one.
But then you get somewhere and you're like, well, now I need a computer to put the phone in. I need a monitor. I need.
You got to carry it around, carry the laptop,
or I have to shove it inside of a laptop. I'm like, well, or some
Why
sort
don't
of.
I just bring a computer?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my puzzle.
Yeah, at the high level, you're like, oh, this is awesome, and then you're like, wait a second.
It's 2016. Why can't I just get a fiber optic jack stuck on the back of my head at this point? I was promised this stuff in Johnny Mnemonic like 20 years ago.
Come on, I want to jack in. The metaverse awaits. Actually, that's the VR conversation. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I'm really glad to hear, this is good news, that somebody finally realized that slide to unlock shouldn't really be a patentable technology. Apple sued Samsung, claiming that they had violated Apple's patent by putting slide to unlock on a Samsung phone. A jury found Samsung guilty, 3 of Apple's patents, and awarded Apple $119 million. It's not the $2.2 billion Apple was asking for, but it's, $119 million. It's something. Well, a judge has thrown it out. In fact, thrown out 2 of the patents, including slide to unlock. And the judgment is reversed, which I think is right.
Autocorrecting text.
Autocorrecting text and slide to unlock. Really? Can you patent that? Come on.
If you don't defend your patent, you lose it. So whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also a weird patent.
And they did win. They did win the trade dress lawsuit for like $1 billion, right? So Apple won that one.
Yeah, there was some lawyers, I believe it was from Switzerland, but I'm sure somebody will correct this if I've got it wrong. There were some lawyers who sat down with me when this whole Apple Samsung stuff was going on a couple of years ago, and they said, look, the reason that you're having all these crazy frivolous lawsuits is because you guys let a jury of regular people decide IP cases. That's insane.
Right.
The average, it's great that you guys have this jury system so that if you or I get accused of murder, then we get a jury of our peers. But if Samsung gets accused of ripping off certain technical elements of Apple's phone, why on earth should it be a jury of average Americans who are deciding that case? And if that weren't the case, then you wouldn't have all this insanity. And so in that country, they have, it's like a panel of experts who decide those cases. It's not a matter for a jury trial.
Corporations are people, friend.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
By the way, that's part of Apple's defense, right? If corporations are people, then you can't force us to write firmware because that would be violating the First Amendment. That's speech. Code is speech. Corporations are people. War is peace. Black is white, right is wrong.
2 + 2 is 5.
Soylent Green is also people.
Oh, my God.
Why would you name that product Soylent, by the way?
I drink it. It's good. I should have brought you some. You could have tried it.
Oh, you should have brought it.
I would have tried
it.
Next time I'll bring.
Bring some in. I'll try it. I don't know.
Actually,
but don't we have Insure? Is it Insure? Is it like
it's basically
Insure? It's just Insure.
It's Insure for young people.
Yeah, it's like we got some Insure.
I have 3 or 4 cases of Soylent at home. You're more than you're more.
That's the saddest thing anyone said to me today.
Briefly, I've always had the fantasy that you could develop something I call people chow, because you can keep an animal alive.
That's a worse name.
It sounds like it's made of Oh, I got some thumbs today on this one.
Keep an animal alive just eating the same thing out of the same bag day in, day out for years. Why do we have to cook and menus and just give me people chow?
Posable thumbs, that's why.
I think people chow would be a great name for a podcast, though.
Oh, yeah, that would be a cooking show?
A cooking show, people chow.
People chow. It's made of Soylent.
I thought Soylent was people chow. I thought, and there are crazy people who've tried to live on this, and usually their hair falls out and bad things happen to their teeth. But I don't know. I think they say it's nutritionally complete, don't they?
It's Insure.
It's Insure. It is. It's Insure. For young people.
It's Insure.
Yeah.
For the kids.
I'm also wearing adult diapers for young people.
Oh.
So there you go.
But Leo, if you offer your dog a T-bone, wouldn't he take it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
he's like,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
What have you been feeding me? And look at this. You had this the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with you? You're a horrible owner.
Is that in the Futurama opening critics? Bachelor chow.
Bachelor chow.
Now with flavor. See the future. I know. I've been there. All right, let's take a break. We had, I think we have a exciting short play describing some of the things that happened this week on the network. Take a look.
Previously on Twit.
Brian, you want to reach your hand into that?
Ew, what's in here? Yeah, they feel like little eyeballs. Ugh.
Security Now.
You're not going to explain it?
One way to look at this
What was
is
that?
Apple wasn't quite clever enough with the security. I'm impressed that the FBI figured out what to ask for.
We should point out that you can encrypt and all that stuff, but if it's a 4-digit passcode to unlock it, it's a weak password.
Twit Live Specials.
The crew is tired, my feet hurt, and I've eaten entirely too much ham. I'm Father Robert Balliser, the digital Jesuit with the Twit TV network,
classic
and
Mobile
this
World
must
Congress
be Mobile
lament.
World Congress 2016 in Barcelona, Spain.
Tech News Today.
Reporter Stephen Petro, who was hacked mid-flight while he was writing about the iPhone encryption story.
He had hacked into my computer through the GoGo internet service. I'm the kind of person who always said, well, I don't have anything to hide. But now I realize I have information, data that I want to protect. And I want to control who's going to have access to that kind of information.
Twit. Making the world safe for technology.
Oh, guys, this is depressing. This is horrible. We're getting hacked left and right. What's ahead? Megan Maroney from Tech News Today this week.
Thanks, Leo. Here is a look at some of the things that we'll be talking about this week on Tech News Today. The Launch Festival is happening. It's organized by Jason Calacanis. Launch is a place where startups come together to show off their startup, meet investors, and get funding. Jason Howell will be there on the scene with lots of coverage from Launch and calling in to give us the scoop. The RSA Security Conference is also next week, and it is bound to be a good one now that the encryption debate is so hot. Can you imagine the conversations at the Moscone Center? I am excited about that. And speaking of that, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft have all pledged to file briefs in support of Apple, as we've heard. So we will sure talk about that next week. Supporters and opponents of Apple can submit their briefs until next Thursday, March 3rd. We'll be talking about a lot more next week. So tune in. Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Megan. Tech News Today, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. 2400. That's midnight, right? UTC on twit.tv if you want to watch live. And you can subscribe and get it every day, and that way you can listen in the morning and have your commute full of tech news. Our show brought to you by Braintree, which we love. You use it. You may not. This is kind of fun. You may not know it, but you're using it if you've ever used GitHub or Airbnb or Uber or Hotels Tonight. Braintree is code for easy mobile payments, and it makes it not only easy but seamless. And that, I mean, isn't that the secret of Uber? Is you're done with the ride, you get out of the car, it's paid for, it's done. You can add it to your app with a few lines of code, and instantly you're able to accept any kind of payment your customers want. Apple Pay, Android Pay, PayPal, Venmo, credit cards, even Bitcoin. And if some other way to pay comes along, well, Braintree will support that too, and it's very easy to turn on right there in the control panel. I talked to my old buddy Harper Reed about something called contextual commerce and how that's changing the landscape of online payment and why it's something you ought to pay attention to. Listen.
I'm looking for a lamp right now. So I Google it up, image search, I find the lamp I want, I click on it, and it takes me to like 5 pages deep, and I'm yet to find a place where I can buy it. There's opportunities for that discovery to be combined that have the context of the purchase. So, we see this with like Pinterest's buyable pins, for example. That's a really neat opportunity. Actually, my favorite one is, so if you look at Facebook and you look at Uber, those are two very trusted brands that are combining an interface that everyone loves, and it's easy to trust. I just love the idea of just being able to say, hey, I want a car, and then a car showing up. It's that same thing.
Yeah.
Like you and I are chatting on Facebook, and it's like, I'll come meet you. I think the key is that the future of commerce is that it is available, and that's it. That commerce is available at any time.
And the systems get out of the way. Your customers want it. You want it. You'll get fast payouts. Of course, superior fraud protection. You don't want to write this stuff yourself. You want the experts at Braintree to do it. And they're ready to scale with you, whether you're earning your first dollar or your billionth. See fewer abandoned carts, see more sales. Braintree's best-in-class mobile checkout experience awaits you now at BraintreePayments.com/twit. BraintreePayments.com/twit. And by the way, to get you started, your first $50,000 in transactions are fee-free. It's easy to use, easy to integrate. They have a sandbox. You can play with it right there. They'll even do the integration for you if you're too busy. BraintreePayments.com/twit. You guys know anything? Actually, I don't know where I want to go. Let's see. I do want to do VR. Don't let me forget this, because you're still a gamer. Are you excited about VR?
No.
No? Why not? Aren't you excited?
No.
You don't want to put on... You just said you wanted to jack in. This is the closest thing to jacking in until you get a port in the back of your head.
I said I wanted a port in the back of my head. I didn't say that I wanted to be all VR-y. I don't want to have to, put in the mouth guard and do the whole Minority Report thing with my hands. No.
There's a mouth guard involved?
Look, how
am I going to barf if I have a mouth guard in?
I see the Oculus
Rift. It has like a one-way thing.
I see the Oculus Rift and Google Cardboard and all this other stuff. And here's my take on VR. As long as it looks like a toaster is having sex with your forehead, this stuff is not going to catch on.
Did you see? I think you might be right. Did you see LG? They look kind of like steampunk goggles because they have the screens built in and then the phone connections down there. Maybe that's better for you. It's lighter.
I got $1 million idea. I'm just trying to talk somebody, and I'm workshopping it a bit. But my idea is auto-tune, but for your personality.
No, come on. You would like to wear these, wouldn't you? Look at this. This is styling. It's attractive. It doesn't look like a toaster. It's more
it looks like Cyclops on The Weekend. This is like casual wear for Cyclops at Professor X's Home for Mutants.
It is a little mutant, isn't it?
Casual Friday.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, okay, he looks like Bender. It looks like Bender's eyeballs.
Yeah.
Oh, you can put little eyeballs on the end.
Oh, yeah, that's what they should do. Just draw in your eyes.
Put little googly eyes on the end.
Googly eyes.
And then while you're doing stuff, the little eyes are rolling
people
about.
People think you're looking at them.
Actually, one big monster Cyclops
eye.
Guys, go look at my Twitter avatar, Will Oremus on Twitter. It's actually there you go. Wow, that was quick.
Oh, there we go. Boom. Genius.
You have the patent on googly eyes on an Oculus Rift.
I do not. That is actually I took that was an Oculus selfie that I took.
I'm on the patent department's side.
At the Stanford
Give me a second.
Stanford's Virtual Reality Lab, which is where legend has it. That's where Mark Zuckerberg went and got so excited about virtual reality that he was like, "We got to buy Oculus." And that's where I was, and they had that there.
Wow. It's the new origin myth. Steve Jobs at SRI, now Mark Zuckerberg at Stanford. This is where it all began. We're building
before that, but sorry.
We're building a massively expensive computer just for the Oculus Rift, and now you're telling me it's not going to be good? It's going to look like a toaster's mating with my forehead?
I'm never going to stop thinking about that.
I can't get that out of my mind. Curse you, Peter Cohen.
My work here is done.
Well, that was a short conversation. You're not going to get a lot of juice out of VR now. Will, did you enjoy it when you were there at the Stanford lab? Was that cool?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. It kind of blew me away. But I should say that what they have, the setup that they had there, this was a couple of years ago, the setup they had there at the Stanford Virtual Human Interaction Lab was, it's not what you're going to put in your living room. You stand in a room and there are sensors all around the room that are able to track your position in space in the room.
Oh, it's the holodeck.
Yeah, well, I mean, the holodeck it has some capabilities like that, and also, we read this story about Project Tango, Google's project that has been billed as an indoor mapping project. But there was a really good article in The Verge recently that was saying, look, this could really be a VR product, because if you have found a way to allow mobile devices to map their position in space within a room without all these external sensors, then suddenly you've got the ability to do the kind of stuff that you could do in that Stanford lab, where you could have a person standing next to you in the room in real life, and on the screen they would be there too, and you reach out to touch the person on the screen, and you actually touch the person's shoulder who's next to you. I mean, that kind of stuff really, really is amazing, but it's not the kind of thing that you can just put in a cardboard box assembly kit.
Yeah. We're only you just probably saved me some money, because in 14 hours I was going to order the $800 HTC Vive.
Really?
Is it
tomorrow.
Is it Vive? Vive, not Vive.
Vive?
Vive
la Vive?
It's going to get all sweaty on your face, and then just get this thing.
It does look like a toaster. Shit.
It's a toaster on your face.
So bummed.
Oh, you should just order it.
You just ruined it for me.
You should just down a Soylent, throw that thing on, and live the dream.
I want a picture of Leo wearing a VR helmet, sucking down some Soylent.
Living.
I want to live in the
Giving up on
future.
life.
I think
In a bathrobe.
in a bathroom, in a tub. In a tub. I want to be in a warm saline solution.
There was a video put out by Business Insider over the weekend that talked about how while playing in VR may feel awesome, watching somebody play in VR
it's the
not
worst.
so awesome.
As you know, you look like the Star Wars kid. You just look like an idiot. Oh my God, this is horrible. We're watching video right now of this guy. The game, if you're in the game, man, he's slaying robots and stuff. Dork.
Yeah, but think of the great vines we're gonna get with VR of people like shooting their friends doing VR. Vine is gonna blow up.
You guys saw that?
Twitter's gonna be like, yeah, we don't have to invest in VR at all. Vines are just gonna blow up.
You guys saw that picture from the Mobile World Congress of Mark Zuckerberg walking into a room of people all with their Samsung Gear VRs on.
That was
He's going in there and telling them how it's the most social device in the world, and they're all oblivious to his presence because they're all sitting there Wall-E style and immersed in their little.
It was so funny. It was good stagecraft because everybody put on their headsets at the Samsung event to watch a video, and Mark snuck in. And they take off their headsets, and there he is on the stage. And by the way, we had a couple of people there. They said it was insane. It was nuts. People were rushing the stage to take pictures. It was like, Justin Bieber had arrived in the auditorium.
But doesn't the fact that he snuck in while you're wearing VR give you pause?
Well, and he's the only guy in the real world. The rest of us.
There's just people in your house who are like, oh, this looks like a nice thing.
Kind of got a Matrix.
Do we know that he actually snuck in, or was he just a VR projection? That's what I want to know.
Just blew my mind again.
Rich McCormick in The Verge said he's a billionaire Superman with a rictus grin. Superman striding straight past human drones tethered to machines and blinded to reality by blinking plastic masks. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one guy who's not in the Matrix, right? He's the agent there. But what blows me away is that Zuckerberg thought the optics of this were good. He posted it on his own Facebook page.
Yeah, this is his picture.
Yeah, it's not like a paparazzi photo that makes him look bad. He was like, oh, this is cool. Here's me looking like the one guy who has not turned myself into a blind idiot. And I'll put that up there. And of course, the press went nuts with it.
I've already replaced Mark with the Atlas robot walking in a GIF.
I think this is the photo that launched a million memes, obviously.
Yeah, Yeah.
Can you pull up some of those, Jason? Let's see. I want to see Roberto's first, but...
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, is it on Twitter?
It's on my Twitter.
It's on your Twitter. You can find that. That's easy. It's on the Twitter.
It's on the Twitter.
You're right. See, it's funny because I looked at this and I did not have that reaction. I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I guess I'm one of them guys in the visors.
You're ready.
I'm ready for our new overlords.
Yeah.
But the connection between VR and sci-fi is so strong in our minds.
Right.
Leo, you said holodeck.
Right.
Earlier, is it the holodeck or the HoloLens, right?
There's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Star Trek.
There's the lightsaber, the red. Wait a minute.
That's just weird.
I want to see John Travolta walking in there going, what?
What was that?
What? Is he in there? We're watching. There he is.
There you go.
What? That's it. That's the one. Okay.
I didn't mean to talk over the memes. I didn't realize.
No, but you have to because most people aren't watching the video, so we always have to keep talking at all times.
Oh, keep talking.
Yeah, because
no
otherwise
dead air.
No dead air. Ever.
Ever. Keep talking. Never stop talking. Put your VR helmets on now.
Now.
Because we're going to be talking in your face. We could have this show, and then you could have like a 3D.
I'm going to do it. No,
and then
you
people
think,
could be like in here.
I've been planning that. You can look around.
You'd
be in the. I'm going to have a chair for you.
Yeah.
And you just wear the helmet, and there'll be a camera sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
But it could be
you could just sit across from you like it's like a meal.
Yeah, like
nice,
we're at you're at the
house.
bar with us.
Yeah, that's nice.
Every once in a while, I'll ask you a question. You can nod or say no. I think that's who was it? Was it Samsung? I think Samsung announced a ball camera that's for that. That's going to have live streaming to your
the Gear 360
S7. You just put it right there.
Yep.
And then you could be at home watching the show. All you people who came out to sit in these chairs, your butts would feel so much better. You could be in a warm tub with saline solution, bathing your limbs to keep the muscles from atrophying.
Yeah.
While eating people chow.
Moves your arms.
We'll get a little
soylent
in the veins. It'll be great.
Catheter.
There's algae in
Catheter.
soylent. That's the secret ingredient.
Algae?
Is algae.
Oh.
That's the food of the future.
Algae?
Grows right on the ocean.
Isn't the ocean kind of getting screwed up?
Yeah, algae schmalgae. Actually, it killed our Dungeness crab season, right? We got no crab. From the algae. Carrageenan. Is that made of algae?
Yeah, isn't carrageenan just algae? Or
probably
extract?
Probably the Soylent guys are just putting carrageenan in there, but just like,
They're saying algae.
They say evaporated cane syrup instead of saying sugar.
Fancy.
It's carrageenan. It's not. I'm drinking Soylent 2.0 though. It's not.
Ooh.
It's not the original.
Are you on the beta? I'm on the
beta.
3.0. I'm growing an extra pinky thanks to 3.0. I'm really.
It's got a
so much more productive
disaccharide synthesized from beets, aka sugar.
Beets.
Vitamins and minerals.
Beets.
It's got some white powder that's unspecified.
Yeah,
vitamins and minerals.
And potentially cocaine.
You feel extra good.
Ooh, that's what the 2.0 stands for.
Damn, I'm bringing some in. Remind me. Next time Roberto's here, I'll bring him a case.
Designed to include 1/5, so 20% of essential. What is a micronutrient?
Oh, well, you got your macronutrients. That's carbs, your protein, your fats. Your micronutrients, everything less than that.
Okay.
Like vitamins and things.
Oh, vitamins.
1/5 of all. So if I drank 5 bottles of this,
but is it 1/5 of your daily allowance of all those, or is it just 1/5 of them?
Subset.
Like you only get like A and B and maybe a little bit of C.
That wouldn't be good. No, I want to live on this. It says it's. I think you could. Well, it doesn't say anymore. It used to say you could live on it, but I don't think.
I think they realized you couldn't. I mean, you could, but what kind of life do you want? What kind of life is that?
These people, they're happy. They've got animals. They're living in a park.
I mean, I was in college and I lived on top ramen. Doesn't mean it was a good life.
Somebody did a 30-day on Soylent thing.
Like I'm saying, his hair fell out, I think.
Yeah, they blogged. It wasn't good.
Oh. Day 31.
They were okay nutritionally, right? I think they lost like 10 or 12 pounds. They were doing okay nutritionally. They couldn't handle
it. Was boring.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Doesn't give you gas because of all the soy?
No. You feel great. You grow breasts, but you feel great.
All right. Well, didn't you feel great?
I have kind of a unique perspective on this because I had gastric bypass surgery about 1.5 years ago, and I've been basically living on whey protein isolate shakes.
You can't eat food?
Two of my meals a day. I've been, eating those. And, gastric bypass patients need to take supplements and stuff like that. So when I hear about people going on an all-soylent diet and watching their hair fall out, it's like, yeah, idiot. You probably should have been taking some biotin or some B12.
Just a little bit of something.
Or, how about a couple of Flintstones chewables for crying out loud?
You can get the gummy vitamins now. Come on.
Do you have...
Gummy vitamins don't work so well for me since the bypass, but anyway.
They go right through you.
Well, to say I'm a vegetarian, and I always hear the story of like, I was a vegetarian for 3 months, and I was so sick. I'm like, well, what did you eat? Did you eat the same thing every day? Because that's the only vegetable all I ate was carrots.
I love carrots.
Well, yeah, you're going to get sick if all you're going to eat is carrots. You're probably going to turn orange, too.
Orange.
Are you damn rabbit?
So some Soylent and some carrots, and you're good to go.
So yeah, this whole Soylent thing, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Get me another whey protein isolate shake. Yay.
That's kind of what this is, isn't it? It's probably very similar to what you drink.
Whey protein isolate's a little bit different. This stuff's soy. And
that's not as good.
I mean, nutritionally, it's better for me anyway. Yeah. I don't give a damn what the hell these Soylent people think they're eating. You know, let Silicon Valley be weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's okay. You want to waste your money on that stuff. That's great. You know, meanwhile, you can go to GNC or the Vitamin Shop and, you know, stock up on cheaper powders that probably work better.
Yeah.
And, you know, eat a regular meal at least once a day. But the reason why it's become so popular and Blue Apron and all this other stuff is happening is because people have less and less time.
Right.
You know, to deal with.
I want people chow.
You know, but we're becoming the Jetsons, right? Where George just kind of dumps himself out in the morning and the conveyor belt like brushes his teeth and then dumps them onto the car.
I wouldn't mind Rosie. She's kind of hot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, if iRobot came out with Rosie, I would buy one in a heartbeat.
Oh, wouldn't you?
That would be so much better than these little trilobites running around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vacuuming up the rug.
I'm afraid my cat's going to like puke and then the Roomba's gonna like spread the puke all over the house, or worse, get angry and like poop somewhere. We have, and then just like a trail, like we know where the Roomba went because you can follow the trail of poo.
We have 2 Roombas as well.
My concern is always that the cat is going to, you know, figure out some way to hack the Roomba, and then is going to lead it in a battle.
My cat realized that if he pushed the button on the top of it, it would turn the Roomba on. And he always wanted to be fed at 4 a.m. So he would go to the Roomba and push it in here.
Yes, in the early morning.
Yeah, and then I would have to go and turn it off and then be like, meow. And then I'd have to feed him because now I'm already awake.
This is what my cat does with the Roomba.
Does your cat sit on it? I tried to get him to sit on it, but he wouldn't. He was like, no, no.
The cat in the shark costume. Where's the duck? Doesn't he chase a duck around?
And the dog. She's just like, I'm just doing my regular stuff.
So cruel. There's a cat in a shark costume. Is this what happened to Left Shark? He's right.
Yeah, but which is the cruel part? The fact that he's wearing a shark costume or the fact that he's enjoying the ride on a Roomba?
Is he enjoying the ride? I don't know.
He's always on that.
He could get
Roomba.
off if he wants.
Yeah.
He's resigned. He's resigned to
He's not wearing a safety belt.
The people, they keep feeding me cat chow, and I sit on this thing all day. He's depressed. He's a depressed cat.
No, he's like totally that band from the 80s has the one hit, and he just has to always play that hit when he plays it live. So now he's just to always be on that Roomba. He's like, well, I want to be on the YouTube, so I better get the suit on, dance for you.
Like a cat. Oh my god!
I love it that the Roomba bangs into stuff, and the cat just sits there.
The cat's like,
yeah, it's another day at the Roomba factory.
Another day at the salt mill.
Like, what? Oh, he almost fell off. He's like, he made sure he wouldn't fall off.
So he apparently likes it.
Because he's like, floor is lava. Floor is lava.
Oh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ow, ow, oh.
Let's see if he gets back up.
All right, that's it.
Oh, yeah, done. Floor's clean. My work here is done. Oh, wait a minute. Now the dog wants to ride the Roomba.
Yeah, that's a big dog. I love that cat just totally pwns that dog. The cat's
How do we get on Roombas?
Get away from me.
I'm just trying to cheer people up because now we have a story.
Oh, no.
About L.A. Yellow Cab. Their phone lines tied up in a hacker attack. Ransom demanded. Since Wednesday, it's a DDoS on the phone system.
Uber did it.
Uber did it. You
think so?
Maybe it was Lyft. You think Lyft is like, everyone will blame Uber if we do this.
And then, of course, the hospital paid off $17,000 in Bitcoin to actually 40 Bitcoin to the hackers who had unaccountably been able to crash the hospital system and encrypt it. And now the IRS says, you know that the hack that we told you where the 100,000 tax returns were stolen by hackers? Yeah, it was actually 700,000.
And the word it's like it could your social security number,
everything,
your birth date. I mean, those two pieces of information right there. Boom, we just have we have everything. We have everything we need to take over your life, to hack into your accounts. And every company, the IRS, they're like, we'll give you a year
of credit monitoring.
It's like the like when T-Mobile. Yes, T-Mobile. They were using Experian, and Experian got hacked. So then they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a year of credit monitoring from Experian."
Experian.
Like, oh,
hey, could you just give us some more information so we can monitor?
We all basically have free credit monitoring at this point.
Didn't we just get off hacking?
It were just
no, but it doesn't stop.
It never stops.
That's why we had to briefly watch some cats on a Roomba.
We need more Roomba cat now.
Roomba cat will save us.
So really, this is a dystopian future, and it's already here. We're in this VR patent. Here's a patent for a Power Glove-like control, and this guy really is mating with a toaster.
I love you, toaster.
New glove-based control. I don't even know. I can't.
You can move your hand around. It's gestures, which don't work right now anyway.
I'm really sad about this one. This is another sad story, but Slysoft, which for years managed to skirt the law. They have a Blu-ray ripping program because they're in Antigua.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the long arm of the Motion Picture Association of America doesn't reach across the Caribbean waters.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was a lawsuit in 2014, and a local court in Antigua found Slysoft owner Giancarlo Bettini guilty of 6 charges of copyright violation. They charged him $5,000 in offense. He probably made that back next day selling any
Slysoft.
DVD. Anyway, he's out of business. In fact, if you go to the website, due to recent regulatory requirements, we've had to cease all activities relating to Slysoft. We want to thank our local customers for their loyal customers for their patronage over the years. So for years, I did recommend this as your Blu-ray DVD burning solution.
It was a ripper?
Yeah, it was a really good ripper.
This is how lazy we've gotten. I have Blu-rays, DVDs on a bookshelf, not unlike what Will has behind him. And I'm like, should I watch that movie? I'm like, oh wait, it's on Netflix. Or I've ripped it already, so now I've ripped it. I'm like, I'll just watch it on Plex.
Right.
And we're like, I can't remember the last time I grabbed. Well, let me take this off and open the thing. We put it in the phone. Wait, do I have? Oh, the PlayStation will do it. Let me turn on the PlayStation.
Why did I even buy those movies?
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember the last time. Actually, I do remember the last time I bought an actual disc. It was when Pacific Rim came out. I think that was the last disc that I bought. Maybe Godzilla 2.
I have that Blu-ray too.
We should have a viewing party.
We should have a party. You started at exactly the same time I do. And we could tweet at each other.
Oh.
There we go. And then we can be sad about Pacific Rim 2 being on hiatus.
Boo, Earns.
Really? They were going to make another one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was fun.
Considering. It was like Godzilla, but it
was a good popcorn movie.
It was a good popcorn movie.
It was a good popcorn movie. So, yeah, I mean, the physical media has sort of, become secondary, so...
For music, I've been saying this for years, and people always yelled at me. But it's obvious, right? Your computer doesn't even have a disc play thing.
I don't have a computer in the house anymore.
We don't have a computer?
Or that has a disc slot at all. We had an iMac.
21st century.
I know. I don't even use a computer
computers.
anymore. It's all VR.
Post PC. I just wave my hands.
Yeah, wave my hands and filing articles.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'd be so tired. I guess I would be in good shape, better shape.
I'm going to write an article like this.
Working on an article. About Apple and the FBI. I got this. It's cool.
Oh, good.
The
good.
Picture. The CMS crashed and lost everything.
Oh, good. I just got another stand achievement for my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? It's 10 of?
No. Just kidding.
Do you wear an Apple Watch, Peter?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But not on my wrist. Yes, I do.
That would be interesting. I'm wearing the Fitbit Blaze, which actually is actually surprisingly useful. It's got a good heart rate monitor. It has exercises built in. You could even see what your resting heart rate is. My heart rate right now, I don't know why, is only 67 beats per minute.
We're relaxing you. It was the cats.
It's the cats. I swear to God, it was 100 a minute ago.
Yeah.
It's the cats.
Yeah. More cats on the internet riding Roombas.
Mine's 81, so I guess you're exciting me a little bit, Leo.
Yeah. Well, it's because where you're wearing your watch. Our show today brought to you by...
Wait till you're accused of a crime and your Fitbit gets subpoenaed and they can look at what your heart rate was at the time.
Wasn't there somebody who posted his heart rate when his girlfriend broke up with him?
Oh, yeah, his heartbreak.
His heart.
The exact moment his
he had
heart
a graph.
was breaking, which is sad.
So pathetic.
I wouldn't share that.
Well, anything for a story. You know how it is when you got a file, you got a deadline.
You got to file.
You got to file, baby.
Someone, I don't know. What I eat for lunch?
All right. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, really?
I have nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about.
Quick.
The battery on my computer died, so I don't have anything. My brain is gone.
Borrow some here.
Oh.
There's a Mobile World Congress rundown.
Let's
the rundown.
Let's do
Facebook.
that.
What happened to Facebook?
What happened to Facebook? You want to talk about Facebook? Tell us what happened to Facebook. Will, you cover this.
I want to talk about Facebook.
Please.
They just rolled out the new alternative to the like button.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now,
you can love things.
It's not just like. You've got wow and sad and angry.
The heart. That's actually really nice.
Love. That's actually the most.
I was hoping for some additional ones like passive aggressive sigh.
Eye roll. Yeah, it needs eye roll. It definitely needs
angry
eye roll.
is okay, but
angry's pretty good, but eye roll would be better because I get a lot of friends who post some. I found a thing that says that Obama's the Antichrist, and that I read a thing.
There needs to be a check Snopes emoji. That would be very helpful.
Oh, a check Snopes. That would be great. That would be pretty awesome. Bill Gates is going to send us all $15 billion if we like this article. Okay, well, that sounds legit. He seems to have a lot of money. I mean, he is Bill Gates. Why would he lie? Bill Gates from Apple will send you $15 million if you do this thing.
Peter, I found these.
Oh. The sad one is the most apt.
Sad VR. Sad VR.
Toaster face.
This episode is going to be really hard on the audio listeners of the podcast.
So we're looking at the.
There's little smileys. Can I narrate for them?
Yeah, would you please? Yeah, explain what you're seeing.
The screen is showing these little Facebook smileys, but they all have those Samsung Gear VR headsets.
Yeah, Gear VR. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're haha and wow and sad and angry, but you can't see their eyes because they're masked with virtual.
So how many of you used these already on Facebook?
I've used them.
I have too.
Yeah,
once, and then was it. It was over.
No, anyone?
Used them a lot?
Not a lot, but I have used them.
I forgot about it. I've been clicking like for the last 4 days. I did it once, the first day, and then I forgot. And I just click like now. I mean,
that's the thing. Everybody was always complaining that the like button, reduced everything to either you like it or you don't. And what if something sad happens? You want to acknowledge it, but you don't want to like that somebody's
right. But they don't have negative. They have sad, but they don't have not like. They don't have don't like. Just sad.
Well, so that's the question is now we've got it to 6 emotions, right? And now we've got 6 little smileys to cover the spectrum of human emotion.
Right.
What's more reductionist? When you just had like and it could stand in for anything, there could be all these nuances to what your like means.
Wow.
Or now there's 6 of them and you really you can't feel
That's all you could do.
Snarky or
snarky,
smug or whatever else you might be feeling.
Yeah, but it never felt good saying I liked it when my best friend's dad passed away.
Well, what are you going to... Oh, sad. I guess you could use sad.
But also sad seems...
Yeah, but now what are you going to do?
If someone passed away, I don't know if I would use sad.
It feels a little weak. It doesn't feel like quite enough.
Yeah.
It's like there's like one little tear.
Or you could do a heart, the love. It's like I'm giving you my love. I'm sharing my love.
Yeah.
People are going to start misusing them accidentally,
But I'm sure he's not going to want to like it. So instead, I would not act on it, and then he would be like, "Wow, nobody really cared that my dad passed away."
Joe and Deborah are getting divorced. Ha ha.
I'm just going to start using angry for everything. I'm like, oh, this looks good. I'm going to anger. People are being so confused. And now how does that work into the algorithm? Because if you like certain things...
Apparently everything is like.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, everything is like? It doesn't matter?
Just for now. All right. This is what I wrote about when this happened, which is that, Facebook was really shrewd about how they pitched this to the public. the whole thing grew out of some of those Mark Zuckerberg town halls where he opens it up to questions from anybody around the world. And at 2 different town halls, Zuckerberg was asked by somebody, what about shouldn't we have a dislike button? And he always sort of deflected it, but it gave Facebook, it started that conversation. He was always very coy about it. And it would start this conversation about should Facebook have a dislike button? And I think that Facebook really has been wanting to do this all along, because if you look at Facebook's algorithm, the like button is one of the biggest signals that Facebook has as to how people are interacting with the content on the social network. So, the like button, if something gets liked 1,000 times, to Facebook's algorithm, that says, oh, this is a great post, let's show that to more people. But the problem is that the like button doesn't tell you very much. All it really tells you is that, this post was somehow framed in a way that got people to hit like on it. There are even posts, a lot of people will like a post without actually reading the whole thing, just to say, oh yeah, I saw that, or to send a signal of acknowledgement to the friend or something like that.
What are you saying, that people react to things on the internet without actually bothering to do any reading?
I wouldn't dare do that, but
it must be a small,
a small minority of us, yes.
But
actually, the problem for Facebook is that its algorithm is they're always looking for more and finer grained data on how people are behaving on the site. And so as long as the like button was crucial to the algorithm, then Facebook's algorithm would end up sending these posts viral that people were just hitting like on because the post was somehow, post was somehow framed to make you hit like or to trick you into hitting like.
So they're going to know the difference now. They're going to pay attention to sad and angry.
Yeah, if they can get people to start using these alternatives to the like button, they will have all sorts of new data that they didn't have before on how exactly a given post is resonating.
But don't they really want dislike? I mean, I don't know how you treat like different. I thought they were going to treat it all like a like, because I don't know how you treat sad differently from a like.
So they haven't said yet. I talked to them about this. They haven't said yet exactly how they're going to do it. They've said that for now, all 6 to the algorithm will just register as a like.
Right,
so if you
that's
hit,
what I thought, yeah.
Sad, it'll just show up as a like to the algorithm. But that's not going to be the case forever. They're going to start, the algorithm is going to start finding ways to incorporate this. I pushed them, I talked to the product manager, and I pushed them a little bit on how it might do this. And they were really hesitant to say that, oh, we want to get a feel for how people are using it. And we really just want to make the experience the best for the users. I'm sure that's all true. But I speculated a little bit about some ways that they could use this data to improve the algorithm. So one idea is, when you have a newscast on TV or a show like This Week in Tech, you don't want to have every single segment be really heavy, right? You want to mix in some funny stuff, some human interest stories.
Cats on Roombas, yeah.
Cats on Roombas, exactly.
Yeah.
And so maybe Facebook uses this data to try to fine-tune your feed. It can do some experiments and figure out what's the optimal mix of stories that make you happy versus stories that make you sad versus stories that make you angry. Maybe they learn about you over time that you don't like stories that make you angry. It makes you, you just end up closing Facebook and not coming back. And Facebook's algorithm reacts to that and then doesn't give you stories that make you angry.
And it does make sense. They would love more signals. Here's a duck on a Roomba, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And
I love that.
The duck. Yeah, I was waiting for the duck.
Oh, this is the same cat with a shark suit, but now there's a duck involved.
They're like all friends. This is a very odd house.
It's a little palate cleanser.
It's best house, actually, now that I think of it.
Cat's like, duck, you best be out of my way. I've got stuff to do.
I got places to go, buddy.
How can I train my cat to do that?
Kibble.
Cable?
Kibble.
Cable TV?
No, kibble. Lots of kibble.
Give your cat cable TV. They love Bravo. Make sure they have Bravo, AMC, and ESPN. They like the balls on ESPN. They're kind of like attack the screen.
Netflix, too. Orange is the New Black. They're into it.
Yeah.
So you pointed out that that there were other choices. There was a yay button that they decided not to use. And apparently, according to Casey Newton, there was a confused button.
Yeah, I didn't know about the confused button.
Yeah.
I should have read Casey's story. He's great. Yeah, they had a yay button in some of the early tests. They told me they actually did a bunch of different tests with different configurations. Nobody used the yay button. I guess particularly outside of the United States, people didn't know what the heck it was. Yeah.
Oh, because don't we have that kind of inscrutable emoji where the hands are going like this and it's raining, and that's kind of a yay, isn't it?
And nobody can agree on whether it's called raise hands or praise hands. I've seen it both ways, and it doesn't make sense either way.
It's an inscrutable emoji, and it's popular. So why wouldn't people use a yay button? It seems like that.
Well, if you're looking at my theory, which is that this is not just about the user experience on Facebook, but it's also about Facebook gathering more
Signals,
data, then inscrutable is not good, right? You want it to be. What's the opposite of inscrutable? I guess you want it as scrutable as possible.
It should be scrutable. Yeah.
And so that they want these to be very clear, because you know who else might like this? It's not just the newsfeed algorithm, but advertisers would love to know when they're advertising on Facebook how people are reacting to those ads. I mean, famously, the problem with advertising is that you don't know whether it's doing any good, or you don't know how people are responding to it. And there are all these ways that you try to measure it. This could be a way for Facebook to be able to give advertisers access to some more data about how their ads are performing.
Because if you didn't like something, an ad, you just ignored it. But now you can actually go in and say, I'm angry. This makes me angry.
Dig did
and
this
then they're
for
like,
a while.
Oh, this seems like maybe we shouldn't have ads with.
But don't you remember Dig used to have you could thumb up
over.
or thumbs down an ad? And they said advertisers wanted that because they don't want to show you an ad that makes you unhappy. So that was useful signal for the advertisers. A thumbs down is a value to them.
And they love it and they're sharing.
Right.
Every little bit of information they can throw into the giant machine, and the machine mixes it.
I know why they didn't have the confused button, because everybody on Facebook would use that all the time.
Yeah. Like half the posts I see are confusing.
I'm confused. And on Twitter, they're all confusing.
Like, here's the thing about Donald Trump. I'm just going to put anger. Watch. Boom. Angry. Ta-da.
No, you got to think that
especially
Facebook
during
would somehow use that.
Yeah.
That's a valuable signal of some kind.
Christina Warren has asked for all responses to her posts on Facebook be the anger.
Yeah, I did that for her.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I did that for her. I was angry that she even asked.
I would do that just on general principle.
Isn't it interesting when you have 1.5 billion users that even something as trivial as this has huge impact, potentially huge impact?
Every little itty-bitty change they have.
It's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah. The amount of data they get every time you refresh or you scroll down, or the 3-second video viewing, everything is tracked. Like, look, now it says I watched that video, even though I moved away from it.
Every time you like a video, an angel gets its wings.
Do we think that Facebook's getting better because of this? You wrote, actually, the reason I wanted to get you on, Will, is because of that great article on the algorithm that you wrote.
Yeah, can you tell I nerd out on this stuff? I love that algorithm, because to me it's this. People don't even realize it. It's one of the most complex and influential machine learning algorithms out there in the world. They have these artificial intelligence experts working on how to extract the maximum possible insight from these crude little actions that you take on Facebook, whether it's hitting like, or whether it's how long you spend viewing a given post on your mobile phone before you scroll past it. They look at more and more all the time. And the reason is because they want to keep that algorithm from being gameable. If it's just clicks and likes, then you end up with a Facebook that's very much like the one we had, I'd say, around 2012, 2013, where everybody is forced to write their posts in such a way that they're tricking you into either clicking or liking. And that is, in fact, what happened. It was a direct result of the fact that Facebook's algorithm used such crude data sources. So the more different data sources Facebook can incorporate into that algorithm, the more difficult it becomes to game, and the closer your news feed becomes to your own ideal news feed of what you would like to see when you open Facebook every day. And that's different for different people. Some people want nothing but cats on Roombas chasing ducks, and other people want nothing but, serious discussion of politics. Or they claim they want to see a lot of serious discussion of politics or news or that sort of thing. Other people just want to see their friends' photos. And, why shouldn't they be able to have a Facebook that's just their friends' photos? So Facebook's working on that all the time in these minute ways. And it's just amazing the level of sophistication that they've already achieved in terms of doing that.
Without really any change on my part, my Facebook feed got a lot better. It obviously is doing something to notice what I'm looking at. And I'm not the person who wants all the viral stuff. I want actually, and in fact, believe it or not, I've noticed of late that Facebook is actually a very good source for news stories for me.
Yeah, if you use it that way, it's all based on how you use it. I always hear these people will comment on my story and they'll say, I went on Facebook for the first time in 6 months and it was terrible. I hated the stuff. It was like, well, of course, because the only way that it's going to get half decent is by getting to know you the more you use it.
Yeah. Were they fairly forthcoming about how they do what they do? I always get the sense that that's kind of secret sauce
It is, yeah. It's their secret sauce. They were more forthcoming with me than they had been in the past. They let me in. They let me actually see a little bit of the code of the newsfeed algorithm on somebody's computer, as long as I didn't take any photos. They were careful. I mean, I had to go to the bathroom, and they had to walk with me over to the bathroom to make sure I
like
was.
You're doing a drug test?
You're not stealing anything.
We don't know if you copied down the code on a piece of paper and rolled it up and then flushed it. They had a guy working at the sanitation. It was like, oh, here it is. We got the code, guys. We're gonna fix Google Plus.
They didn't come inside, but to their credit, they did. They were forthcoming about it, and they were willing. I mean, they want it to be understood that their real goal here with the newsfeed is to make it better and better, so that over time it really becomes sort of your personal ideal newsfeed.
Yeah, I covered Facebook for a very short amount of time, and it was every time I'm like, well, I want to know about the newsfeed. And they're like, well, it's...
well, it's
maybe
almost
we
like
can talk to somebody, and then you would talk to someone and they wouldn't tell you anything. It was just...
It's kind of like asking Google, I mean, they'll tell you page rank, but they're not going to tell you the...
Yeah, they wouldn't tell me
deep
anything.
inside
I got tired of asking, and then I stopped covering Facebook, and I'm a better person because of it.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, frankly. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more in just a second. Will Oremus is here. Oremus is here from Slate Magazine. I call him Uncle Oremus. That way I remember.
You're welcome to call me that.
I remember the pronunciation of his name. Well, it's great to have you, Roberto Baldwin, also for two senior editors from Engadget and Slate, irrespectively, because I did it in the reverse order. And Peter Cohen, who's now at Backblaze, where he writes about technology and backup at that backup company. It's great to have you all today. Our show is brought to you by Squarespace, the place to make your next website. It is so hard to bring a Squarespace site down because they marry the best web hosting with the best software, and they're very tightly integrated. So when your site needs more bandwidth, it gets more bandwidth. It is amazing. And, of course, your page always looks great because you're getting the best designers to start with, and then you customize it. You give it your particular ethos and style. You're going to get a great website, a blog or portfolio, a landing page for your business. I use the Squarespace cover pages as my cover page because it's a great place just to kind of say, here's 10 images or whatever, any number, that reflect me, that say something about me, and then it links on to my social presence, my blog. It's all there. And every page is mobile responsive, looks great on any size screen, whether it's a tiny little iPhone or a giant 70-inch monitor. You get a free custom domain with your annual purchase. You can power your business with Squarespace Commerce. Each and every template has commerce built in. In fact, I love this because it's built into the template. So your shopping cart isn't some sort of weird kind of hanging thing hanging off of your website, a sidecar on your website. It's part of it. It looks the same. It's the only platform that lets you create, manage, and brand your store as beautifully as you do the rest of your business and your site. You're going to love Squarespace. I want you to try it right now. Free. Go to squarespace.com. And then if you decide to buy, all I ask is you use the offer code TWIT to get 10% off and show your support for the show. Squarespace.com. Squarespace. You should. Don't forget the offer code TWIT. It is well worth it. Well, keep writing, Will, on the Facebook social feed, because I do, or the news feed. I find it very intriguing. It's probably the single most powerful social media presence. Although Twitter is always an interesting conversation. And when I get new people on the show, I like to ask them, how do you feel about Twitter? You all use it, right?
I use Twitter way too much.
But you said for dopey stuff more.
Yeah, I mean, I put articles on there, but for the most part, Twitter is, while I'm writing, I have just random things that pop in my head.
Better. I don't like it when people use it as a promotional feed.
Yeah, I'm horrible at promoting on Twitter.
Yeah. It should just be your offhand thoughts.
Yeah. I share some stuff, and I have conversations with friends on Twitter, and sometimes with readers or people who just follow me for whatever unknown reason. I'm a big fan of group DMs. I mean, that's how I chat with a lot of people.
Really? Use group DMs?
I use group DMs a lot.
Never met anybody who did that.
Yeah, and GIFs.
I didn't even know
I'm a
you
big
could do
GIF.
group DMs.
Yeah, group DMs. It's like secret. That's secret Twitter. That's where you have like, you know, the 10 people that you
Dark
like to talk
Twitter.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dark Twitter.
Now, you guys, props to you guys for using Twitter, in a way that keeps it real. I'll be honest. I use it for self-promotion. I put my stories on there. I feel like the reason people follow me on Twitter, I don't think anybody really cares what I have to say about this or that. I mean, I assume they're following me because they want to see my stories. And so, if they were coming there hoping to see the real Will Oremus and get an insight into what kind of guy I am, they've probably unfollowed me by now because
all you could do is get in trouble on Twitter.
Well,
Frankly.
maybe that's a good thing, because I was thinking about it. Leo, you asked if you could, or you asked if you could call me Uncle Remus. I said sure, anytime. but if I bet I could see somebody on Twitter saying, you know what?
Oh yeah.
Will just endorsed
that's racist.
Caricature.
Yeah. Why don't you call him Little
true.
Black Sambo?
It is true, and that's a powerful. I mean, I know people get frustrated about people calling each other out for politically incorrect things on Twitter, but I think it's honestly a force for good, because 95% of the racism, the sexism that's in this world is it's unthinking. You know, it's not, people aren't trying to be racist. They don't realize. And Twitter is a place where when people say stuff that's racist or sexist, it gets noticed, it gets called out, it gets publicized, and all of a sudden we can have an open conversation about that stuff, and maybe maybe people can learn from it. So I think Twitter is a force for good in that respect.
The downside to it is that it becomes a mechanism for the internet outrage machine to sort of perpetuate itself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And with the Twitter pylon.
What's that?
The Twitter pylon is where you say something and one person's like, oh, this is horrible, and then they retweet what you said, and then someone else finds it horrible, and suddenly you have all these people who are piling on you. And sometimes, I mean, if you have a feed that's just full of garbage, if you're just a garbage person and you're just constantly tweeting garbage, then okay, that's. But if something's taken out of context, like the rest of your feed, it's fine, and then you make this joke or you make this observation that isn't politically correct, or does sort of hit home for somebody else out there. Suddenly you're being villainized because you said this one thing that they found offensive, which in reality you might be a pretty nice person.
Well, I wish we could get to the point where you could be condemned for what you say, and people could point out that what you said was offensive, and we could all talk about that. But we could recognize that, look, everybody in the world is going to say things that are offensive sometimes, and I think the real problem is the rush to condemn the person as opposed to what the person said, and I think that gets magnified because Twitter is your public face a lot of times. So remember the woman who was. She worked for the Daily Beast or something. She was in PR, and she got on the plane to South Africa, and she was from South Africa, but she had tweeted a joke that a lot of people probably rightly found offensive before she got on the plane. By the time she landed, she had been fired already. Yeah, it moves that fast. What if we didn't fire her? What if we were able to have to point out that this is offensive without deciding that the person's a horrible person? That would be nice, I think.
Every time somebody says Twitter's dead, it comes back and shows its value. I mean, tonight's the Oscars. I'll absolutely have a live feed flowing through my screen.
They're doing the red carpet right now on the Twitters.
You could tell, right? You see the pictures?
Dresses.
I saw yesterday a very powerful series of tweets, about 20 tweets, from a public defender calling out a cop for lying about his client. And I think that it's not what Twitter was designed to do. I mean, that would normally be a blog post or something. But it really worked, and it got a lot of people's attention. You don't have to look much farther than the Donald Trump campaign. Now, it's interesting because one has to think that Trump's supporters are not particularly big Twitter users, but yet he has used it so effectively. And because the media watches his feed and repeats his tweets, those tweets become much more public than they would normally, right? So he's using it very effectively.
Yeah, if he had a Tumblr page, like we wouldn't see, we wouldn't know anything, but because it's like it's Twitter, and you're like, it's so easy, the barrier to interact with individuals on Twitter is so low. All you do, follow, one button, that's it. And you don't even have to follow someone. You can just get retweets. I don't follow Donald Trump, but I'm pretty sure I see every tweet he's ever sent.
Any controversial tweet, for sure.
Yeah, which is every tweet he's ever sent.
Trump has a Tumblr, and it's all furry porn gifs.
You can say that, but it won't hurt the man.
Yeah, it's true.
It just bounces right off. It's amazing. He actually did so he's abandoned Apple He was tweeting with an iPhone, and now he says we have to boycott Apple because of the FBI thing. So apparently he's using a Samsung.
Oh, let's find out today.
Or his people. But you have to check, right? Because you don't know. Actually, Twitter no longer puts that on there.
You have to use...
Tapbot or somebody will do that, Tweetbot?
Tweetbot.
He did delete some poorly spelled tweets, and then there was a lot of fun at his expense, including, I think it was Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, which I know I had to try every possible combination of Donald Trump to find his.
Like a million.
It's real Donald Trump.
The latest tweet. Twitter for iPhone. His last tweet from 25 minutes ago.
For iPhone?
Yeah,
he's given up on the boycott.
Yeah, well, then someone was arguing with me that his tweets. Well, he doesn't do all of his tweets. His team does tweets. I'm like, so everyone should boycott Apple except for his Twitter team? And they're like, oh, shut up. I'm like, okay.
It doesn't mean it's foolish to ask for consistency. That's not the point of any of this.
Well, remember,
but that's why he is a Twitter candidate. He was made for this medium, don't you think?
Yeah.
This is the
Twitter
quick
for
soundbite. Moving on. That's it. It's done. Next thing. Next thing. Next thing.
Massive crowd. Twitter for iPhone.
Yeah, Oscars just put out a tweet for the Leonardo.
That's the bear mauling Leonardo on his Golden Globe as he tries to reach for the golden statuette that we know as Oscar.
It's labeled "It's so close."
He's going to win. There's no way he does. You don't get mauled by a bear. Or, as somebody pointed out, a guy in a blue suit who will later be CG'd into a bear and not win an Oscar.
Yeah, you don't get mauled by blue people without winning an Oscar.
I think that's Oscar.
It was a big upset when the Smurfs movie didn't win anything. Huge upset.
Let's take a break because we do want to get out of here in the next half hour because, we've got a show to watch. Chris Rock will be on stage in just a few minutes. Our show today brought to you by my doorbell. Where's my doorbell? Here's my doorbell. It's actually attached to my door, but this is a reasonable facsimile of the Ring video doorbell. You're talking about Internet of Things. This is interesting. They do this right. So I didn't know this, but you remember that there was an article published about the Ring video doorbell that a security researcher pointed out you could remove the doorbell, hack it, get somebody's Wi-Fi access point and password, and then put it back on. Of course, I'd have video of you doing that. I should point out if you do that. But Ring was notified before this went public and fixed it. They pushed out so this is exactly how IoT needs to be done, where you can update it immediately, directly from the factory. The Ring video doorbell is a very clever idea. It's a doorbell that just takes over from your old one. If you're like me, you probably have a silly old kind of dopey doorbell that rings a chime in the house. It was easy for me. Just a couple of screws removed that. The nice thing is the Ring video doorbell comes with all the tools you need, including things you may not need, but it's nice to have, like a drill bit and the special screwdriver with a special Torx bit on one end and a Phillips on the other, a level so you can mount it looking beautiful. You replace the two wires coming out of your door jamb come through this plate. You replace the old doorbell with the Ring video doorbell. Now, this is awesome. You hook it up to your Wi-Fi. It will ring your phone, your tablet, wherever you are, anywhere in the world when somebody rings your doorbell. And you could talk to them. There's a speaker and a microphone in it. So I could say, hey, I'm in the shower. Leave the package, please. Please, you know me, Ted, my UPS driver. I can't come out right now. Please leave it. And he'll leave it. You can watch the package, make sure nobody steals it, because it also has a motion detection on it. It's really awesome. And I have a record on my phone of everybody who's come and left from my house. And I just love this Ring video doorbell. $200. We're going to get you expedited FedEx shipping if you use our offer code ring.com/twit. Ring.com/twit. I found so many uses for it. When my daughter comes in at 3 in the morning, I know. I could tell who's at my door, who's in my home. And the nice thing is you're actually going to thwart burglaries because it turns out about 95% of home robberies happen in the daytime. Bad guy comes to your front door, rings the doorbell. If you don't answer, goes around back, breaks in. Now you can answer. And you have crystal clear HD video of them as they run as fast as they can away from you. Works with iOS and Android, and I love it. I love my Ring video doorbell, and you will too. By the way, even if you don't have a wired doorbell, you can use this because it has a built-in battery that's good for a year, lithium-ion rechargeable. Ring.com/twit. Let's see. All right, we're down to the dregs here. The last few stories. I know that's not exactly a incentive to stick around, but
SpaceX aborted their rocket launch.
I heard that was going on right now. So if you if you watched Twit and live and didn't watch the space launch, you didn't miss anything.
You didn't miss anything. So
it was just sitting there.
Everybody
for a while.
wins, except for the SpaceX people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Space is hard, man.
Kind of a revolt at Wikimedia. Remember the story a couple of weeks ago that Wikimedia, the foundation that runs Wikipedia, was going to do their own search engine that was commercially clean, right? Turns out it wasn't quite the real story, and now the executive director of the foundation has had to resign. I wasn't following this, but there's been a severe revolt going on in social media and the Wikipedia mailing lists. Lila Tretikov basically has been accused of lying to the community about this search engine. According to leaked internal documents, they wanted to do a Wikimedia knowledge engine that would have been the internet's first transparent search engine, completely free of commercial interest. Many within the community did not want to do that. So the folks on the board said, oh, no, it's not that. It's just going to be a search engine that will lead people to Wikipedia. It'll be a better search for Wikipedia. Many in the community were furious, according to this article in Motherboard, that the details of such a large project had been withheld by an organization that prides itself on radical transparency. Their public story that they weren't working on a search engine was directly contradicted by a grant proposal they made to the Knight Foundation. And now the director is gone. I give them money every month. I love Wikipedia. I'm very grateful. I think it's a perfect example of what the internet can do when people get together kind of, pro bono to do great work, but little trouble there in paradise.
It's unfortunate.
YouTube has now a team to minimize copyright violations. Actually, really what it is to prevent Content ID from incorrectly penalizing their best content creators. They've been getting complaints, a lot of complaints, from some of the top channels on YouTube that they've been losing money, they've been losing revenue, they've been losing hits because of Content ID pulling these things down automatically. It happened to us for a long time because, this is a news show, so there's fair use. We've used, a cat on a Roomba.
Yeah.
And which was a YouTube video and could theoretically get pulled down. We always appeal that on fair use grounds, and they always reverse it.
But the fact that they have to be reminded every time.
Yeah, every time. Here's the dog dressed as a hammerhead shark, the cat dressed as a great white shark, and the duck dressed as a duck.
That's a really good costume, that duck.
It's very believable.
It's amazing. I feel like they really cheapen, like they spend all the money on the duck costume.
I feel like they need the Roomba because there's so much animal poop on the ground. There must be.
No, but that would just drag it around the house.
Yeah,
that's
you're
my
right
fear.
to worry about that.
We gave our Roomba away.
We have 2 Roombas, and all they ever do is pick up cat toys and break.
They flip over and burst into flames.
They get like 5 feet. Or, it's unfortunate, but somehow we've managed to purchase a lot of furniture that's just high enough for the Roomba to get wedged underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it makes loud sounds in the middle of the night because the Roomba, unfortunately, when it runs out of battery, it's supposed to go back and recharge.
Yeah.
It runs out of battery. It doesn't go back and recharge, and then it resets its clock. So it always goes off now at 2 in the morning. And then it starts going.
Whatever you do, don't set your Roomba's date to 1970. It'll break.
Oh, the whole thing.
That's something else.
It's the Unix problem.
Break your Roomba.
It's the Unix problem.
I suspect there's a business backstory to Google doing this because they are terrified of Facebook video. Facebook has made one of those algorithm tweaks is that they've made it so if you post a video natively on Facebook, it can go viral so much faster than anything
it really
on
is
YouTube
true, isn't it?
can ever hope to.
It really is true. Yeah.
And so Facebook has been gaining tremendous ground on YouTube, sort of quietly through its native video efforts. But one of the edges that YouTube and Google still have is that Facebook has gotten a really bad reputation for people pirating other people's videos. They call it freebooting. You take somebody's YouTube video, you rip it, and you repost it on your Facebook page, and it goes nuts and helps your business out. So Facebook has gotten sort of a bad rap with a lot of people who create videos for a living. And I think I would read this. I could be wrong. I would read this as Google trying to bolster its standing with those creators and make sure that they stay loyal to YouTube. Because if YouTube is pulling down their videos for mistaken content ID violations, then maybe they reconsider. Maybe they do go over to Facebook instead.
I think you're absolutely right, and I want to thank you for bringing it back to Facebook once again.
I can bring anything back to Facebook.
No, but I think you can look at a lot of Google's moves as a response to Facebook. Absolutely, as with Twitter. Facebook is rapidly becoming the 800-pound gorilla.
I wish Facebook videos were easier to share. The YouTube videos are so easy to share. You just throw it here.
You don't just press the share button?
Sometimes it doesn't seem like it's working. I'm like, am I being A/B tested? What's happening here on Facebook? When it's on Facebook, when you're inside that Facebook internet,
I can share it inside the Facebook universe.
But then once you get outside of it,
right.
It's a mess.
Yeah, try sharing on Twitter.
No, you can't. You're right.
It's not an accident.
Yeah. There's stay here. It's cool. It's warm.
That's something to remember.
We have all your stuff.
Yeah.
We fixed the like button. Come on.
It's safe over here in the Facebook pool.
We got Candy Crush in here. We got all those games you like.
I really gave up, and I just embraced the Facebook future because, well, for instance, I was using Telegram, trying to get everybody to use Telegram. I love Telegram. And apparently they now have 100 million users, so they're doing okay. That pales compared to WhatsApp or Facebook. But I finally gave up and just using Facebook Messenger because that's where everybody is. Why? Well, it's too much trouble. Just give up. That's how they're going to win.
Yeah. That's how events on Facebook, I use events all the time.
Why not?
That's how I keep track of
don't
all
want
my friends' bands. That's how I know because they know we have to make events on Facebook. And so all right, and I keep track of what am I doing on Friday night? I'm going to see this. The groups, secret groups is great if you have to make groups because everybody's on Facebook.
Is there a manual where you find all this stuff that nobody knows about? Like the group DMs and now what? There's groups on Facebook?
Yeah,
you have friends. See, that's my problem. I don't know anybody. So there wouldn't be any reason to have a group DM or... What is Facebook groups? What is that?
It's groups. You can make private groups. You can make public groups. Just people talking about,
like a little mini forum?
Yeah, like a little mini forum. So I use secret groups for
secret groups?
Like for bands. Like I have bands and then like a secret,
Did you guys know about
share
this?
Files on it. And
have you been holding out on me?
I bet Will knows.
Well, Facebook groups have been around for longer than the newsfeed has. Groups were one of the very, very first features on Facebook back when it was only at a few colleges.
Wow.
But actually, there are some really interesting uses. Groups. I mean, it's one of these things like Yahoo groups. If you're not a Yahoo person, if you're not like old and use Yahoo Mail, and
I like it.
I'm demographically stereotyping, but Yahoo Groups is an enormous business as well. Facebook Groups is too. And actually, I was talking to somebody the other day who was telling me that in a lot of countries where there isn't where eBay isn't a big thing, Facebook Groups are the big site where people buy and sell stuff. I think in India in particular, Facebook groups are one of the big venues where online commerce happens.
Where is this? I want to go there. Oh, there it is. It's a heading right there.
Like you have a group.
I'm in the Laporte World Association.
That's a group.
Huh.
What's that?
I don't even. Oh, that's that's the genealogy.
There you go.
It's a lot of it's in French, so I didn't even know I was in it. So it's just this heading on the side here, and you can create groups, or you can. How do you join groups? How do you find groups? I'm already in a bunch of groups. I didn't even know that.
You're managing groups.
I am?
You have staff groups. Look at that.
There's one other person in there. Jason, is that you?
Probably.
Are you in my group?
No, go to your homepage and look on the right side. Go to your front page of your Facebook account.
Every time I use Facebook, I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, no, go to your right and down.
And down.
So there's suggested groups right there. See the black and white photo?
Pages. That says pages, not groups. I don't understand the difference. It's terminology. I don't understand it. That's one problem with Facebook. It's got a lot of stuff.
It's got a lot of stuff. But you can kind of make it your own. That's what I've done with Facebook, and it works really well for me.
So you have groups?
I have groups. I have there's a bunch of. I have a bunch of groups right there.
See, well, this is the sad thing. I have groups, and I don't even know I have groups, and I've never visited my groups. Even though I joined
groups are.
At some point, I joined groups, and I didn't even know it.
Like a black hole. You can't escape the groups.
Yeah. All right, I think we should wrap this up because It's not going to get any better, frankly. We tried. No, Peter. He's shaking his head. Peter Cohen of Backblaze. You like the new gig? You don't have to leave the house anyway, whatever you do.
This is true. I get to work from home and working with a great bunch of really talented people, so I'm very excited.
I like Backblaze a lot. Carbonite is a sponsor, so you won't hear me talk about it much. But I think a lot of people use Backblaze. And it was great that they found that Adobe Creative Cloud bug so quickly.
Yeah, they were. I was just sitting on the fence on that one, just watching them work. But
how did they know? Because what basically their signal was, a lot of customers all of a sudden said, "My Backblaze isn't working." How did they know to look for BT Vol? And I mean, how did they know?
What, as I understand, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the company. I'm speaking as behalf of a user because I have Backblaze installed and Creative Cloud. But my experience was pretty consistent with what I think a lot of our other customers saw, which was at some point right after the Adobe Creative Cloud update was deployed, all of a sudden we started getting an error message from Backblaze saying, "Hey, this directory is missing, so your backup has stopped." And the support department figured out almost immediately what was going on and actually posted a workaround.
That's impressive because they had to figure out not only what was going on, but what was going wrong. I mean, who was deleting that file? Right, exactly. And then, once we nailed it down to Adobe Creative Cloud, we pulled them into the discussion as well, and got a whole bunch of their customers talking about it. So it was just kind of an interesting thing the way that it unfolded. Yeah.
But we were fortunate to be in the right place at the right time with, the right solution. What was heartbreaking is hearing from folks who found out that, we knew what was going on and, had identified the problem, only to find out that they weren't crash plan users, Carbonite users, Backblaze users, or even Time Machine users, people who didn't have any backup whatsoever. Yeah. And they lost their files permanently. And as far as I know, there was no way for those folks to recover. But for our customers, Backblaze customers weren't affected by it.
Thank you, Adobe. Nice job.
Look, stuff like this happens. We've seen stuff like this happen with Apple before. And it without being didactic about it, I think it goes to the importance of making sure that you've got a viable backup of your stuff because you never know.
More than one, like a variety of different places, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like to tell my customers that if you're only backed up once, you might as well not be backed up at all. Right. Try to have two backups somewhere.
Right. Thank you for being here, Peter. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Leo. Always a pleasure.
Thanks to Will Oremus. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry,
I took
Will.
away your mnemonic device, and now you're lost again.
Dang nabbit. Will Oremus, he is a senior technology writer for Slate, does a great job, and I read you regularly. I really always wanted to have you on the show, so I'm glad you could join us. I hope you come back. It wasn't too horrible.
It was great. I love it. The only horrible thing was that I made some factual errors. Can I correct one right now?
Please do. I do it all the time, and it's a good thing to correct. Yep.
I mentioned India as the country where people were using Facebook groups to buy and sell stuff. It's Indonesia is the country where Facebook has said people are doing that.
Easy mistake. They're both in the Pacific.
Did the hanger tell you that? Is the hanger your fact checker? It's like it's Indonesia.
Roberto, you're so bad.
I love the hanger.
Yeah, it was on that chart that's behind me.
That's why there's the map. There we go.
I found the map. Will, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. It was fun.
Thanks to Roberto Baldwin. I am really sorry about the whole Volt thing.
Fine.
He drove his Chevy Volt all the way up here. I was all excited because I thought it was a Chevy Bolt. Easy confusion.
Yeah, it's confusing that they would name two cars with
Bolt and Volt.
Volt and Volt. It's yeah.
Anyway, thank you for driving it up here.
It's a nice car. I would have drove it up here anyway. So
I don't reject you or your car. I just didn't think it was a...
As long as you don't reject, you can reject me. I'm totally fine with that. Just don't reject the car.
We'll come back because we have a great time, and I appreciate your being here. Roberto, of course, senior editor at Engadget. Thank you all for being here. We love doing the show, and we hope you'll come back and do it again with us every Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC. We gather together to talk about the tech news. I promise we'll only talk about Apple and FBI a few more years, and then we'll move on to something else. It's one of those. It's like the DOJ, Microsoft thing. You're too young, but man, that's all we could talk about for a year. It seemed like. If you can't watch live, you can always be in the studio, by the way. Just email tickets@twit.tv. We love having a live studio audience. Thank you all for being here. And you can also watch after the fact. On-demand audio and video, always available on our website, twit.tv, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, the Twit apps, they're everywhere. Roku. And we now have, I think, 5 apps on Apple TV. We didn't run any of them, thanks to our fans, who are also great programmers. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Another Twit. This is in the can. Bye-bye.
Yeah.